Call our open session to order. It's 5:50 PM. First item is public comment for closed session items only. We do not have anyone in person for public comment on our closed session items. Do we have any emails on our closed session items?
Nothing on email.
Thank you. Next up is our roll call.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Here.
Trustee Donnelly.
Present.
Trustee Edmondson.
Present.
Trustee Jackson Miller.
Present.
And we have heard from trustee Dickinson that he is running a bit late.
Yes, thank you so much. All right, then, we'll go ahead and convene into closed session. And here's trustee Dickinson, just in I'm going to call our open session to order at 6:33 p.m. and welcome to our board meeting. Thank you all for being here on this chilly, dark evening, but we're happy to see you all. We always start off our board meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance and mission statement reading by a student. And so we have a student from SoCal Elementary, and Principal Witter is here to introduce our student.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, well, board, Superintendent Turnbull, Cabinet, thanks for having us. So, our student reader for SoCal L is Angelo Rocha. And he's a fifth grader. He's been at SoCal L since kindergarten. Let's see, he has two older sisters that I think went through SoCal Union Schools also. And we just have been really impressed with his work this year, his attitude, etc. So we're really happy to have him represent us. And so, Angelo, come on up.
Please stand. Place your hand on your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
SoCal Union Elementary School District Mission Statement. Staff, students, parents, and the community help ensure that each child develops the skills and character necessary for lifelong achievement and responsible citizenship in a diverse world.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Angelo.
Yeah. Come on back.
Angelo, we have a certificate to present to you, and it says some nice things about you from your school and your teacher. Is it okay if I read it?
Yeah.
Okay. And I have it in English and in Espanol. Should I read it in both, or what do you prefer?
English.
Okay. Okay. But we have it in both, so you can share it with everyone at home in both languages. Okay. The SoCal Union School District Board of Trustees Certificate of Recognition for our Pledge of Allegiance leader and mission statement reader, Angela Rocha, fifth grade student at SoCal Elementary School. Angelo has demonstrated significant academic growth this year, especially in math and reading. He is consistently trying his best and working hard to complete any given task. He exudes perseverance and really wants to do well in school. Angelo also exhibits a growth mindset and is always positive, no matter what comes his way. Some of Angelo's strongest skills include his curiosity and imagination, motivation, and bilingualism. He is kind, funny, well-liked by others, and empathetic with his peers. Angelo enjoys playing volleyball, soccer, and dodgeball. He loves animals, reading the Wings of Fire series, and drawing. In the future, Angelo would love to work at an animal sanctuary. Fantastic. Let's give it up one more time for Angelo. Angelo, I'm so sorry. If you don't mind, Angelo, I hope it's okay with you. I'd like to give you the certificate, and I'd like to give you
Come on up.
a little gift. So come on up. And then do you like shaking hands, elbow bump, or no touching?
Only above.
Fist bump.
Oh, there
Thank
you
you. We appreciate having you. Is it okay if we ask you a few questions about yourself? Okay. And then please help yourself to a gift. That's our thank you to you. If you have a brother or sisters at home that might like something, you can get something for them too. All right, team, you got questions for our friend Angelo?
First of all, I like your sweater.
Yeah.
I got the sweater contest award for tonight. That is the best sweater.
Yeah.
So Animal Sanctuary, have you visited any of the sanctuaries? Good, okay. Yeah, there's some all over California. There's Peace of Mind that's down in Santa Clarita, which is a really great sanctuary to visit. And there's a lot of them around California. Enjoy to visit them.
Is it that they're hurt? What puts an animal in an animal sanctuary?
They get hurt or
Good answer.
or they've been mistreated by someone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you draw, do you tend to draw animals that you like? I know you're pretty into animals, and drawing is one of your favorite skills. Do you like drawing animals, or what do you like to draw?
To draw dragons.
Right on.
Okay.
Very cool.
Like the series you like.
Yeah.
Nice. Come on.
New Godzilla movie out.
Is there?
Might as
You watched it? Angela, it sounds like you're a real leader and someone that a lot of younger kids could really learn from and look up to. I have a question. If you knew of a kid who was about to start SoCal, they were about to go to kindergarten or maybe even transfer in, do you have any words of wisdom that you would want to share with maybe a younger kid starting at SoCal?
SoCal is a good school
Uh-huh.
and I think they would make a lot of friends.
Oh, that's good to hear. It's good to hear. Sounds like you've got a lot of wisdom and a lot of experience, and you bring a lot to our school and to our whole school district. So we're really grateful to you and to your family for being here. I don't know if I cut anyone off. Did everyone get their chance to?
Well, being
Check
an
in with
animal
Angela.
lover, do you have any animals at home?
There you go.
Yeah,
can-
a cat and fish.
Cat and fish. What's your cat's name?
Lulu.
Lulu. It's a great name.
Nice. Well, if it's okay, yeah.
And your cat does everything you ask it to do, right?
Right.
We look forward to you sitting in this row of student
Yeah.
leaders
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah.
Well on your way. Good job.
Mhm. These are our student council leaders at New Brighton.
Yeah, next year.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's really great meeting you.
Is it okay if we take a picture with you and your parents, if they want to be in the picture, if your teacher's here, Mr. Witter, is that okay? You okay with the picture? Yeah, okay, all right. So if you'll stand right here and then we'll stand behind you and I'm not gonna trip on your cord.
We get the teacher too, yeah.
Oh, please. Oh, nice. I don't shy behind. Yeah.
Multiple cameras.
You got it. Awesome.
There you go.
Thank
All right, folks.
Thank you very much. And you're welcome to stay, but you are also welcome to leave. No one has to stay through the board meeting if they don't want to. Whatever's comfortable for you. All right. Should not lose the rest of the meeting. Next up is adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 3C, report out of closed session. The board, yeah, good night. The board did meet in closed session earlier and on a vote of 5-0, the board voted to approve the settlement agreement number 2023-2403. We're getting close to the recognition item, but before that, we have one more item, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve and adopt the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second roll. No.
Oh, he got you. All right.
All right.
I got the second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mhm.
All right. Okay, next up is a recognition item to recognize our 23-24 New Brighton Middle School
Yeah.
government officers. Thank you all for being here.
I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Hedges, Miss Birchall, and Miss Laurie here, who are get the great opportunity to work with these wonderful students.
Yeah, hi, thank you, board, for having us tonight. I'm always honored to be here on this night, to be able to recognize our student council's representatives who are our student leaders and our future leaders at SoCal High, I always say, and our future leaders in our community. So, but I will pass the mic over to Jessica Laurie, who is our student council advisor for the I will let you do the honors of recognizing our students.
Last year was my first year as student council advisor, and it was a wonderful year, but we're off to a fantastic start. I have wonderful student officers this year. I'd like to start with recognizing Miss Lily Holmberg, who's our 8th grader. If you'd like to. Cassidy Siebert, who is our treasurer. Charlotte Arnold, our vice president. Santi Cruz, our president. Lily Roden, our historian. Ella Kelly, the distinction of being our 7th grade rep this year. And Ellen Vicker, our 8th grade rep. She's my all-around person. So this year we collected, we've already started with our charity causes. We collected for Second Harvest Food Bank and brought in, I don't remember how many barrels, but a lot of barrels of food in the short time that we collected. We also collected toys for the CASA community and collected toys for the foster care children under the CASA system. And we've had 2 dances and one dance. We're planning the second one. And I know I'm imagining things. And our candygram sales and just, reaching out for community and spirit and leadership amongst this group has just been phenomenal. So it's been great. And it's my pleasure to be their advisor, truly more of a backseat person this year with this strong group. So thank you very much, you guys.
Thank you. Well, we do have some certificates of recognition for the students.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm happy to present those. Do you each want to come up? Luckily, there's not a whole long thing for me to read about each one of you, but we appreciate learning about you and what you do. So, Santiago, would you like to come up and receive your certificate? Boom. All right. It's the season, I think, for the fist bump. Thank you. Thank you very much for your guests. Is it okay if they go to their seats and then if we have questions for them, let them sit? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Doing some group decision making, collaborative work. And we have Charlotte. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Charlotte. And Ella V. Cassidy. Lillian. Lillian Roden, our student body. I should have been reading out the names all the way. Lily. Lily Holmberg, student body 8th grade representative. Lily, boom. There we go. And Ella. Wait, right? Kelly.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We'll get a fixed version for you, but thank you. Team, any questions for our new Brighton officers?
Oh, yeah. What made you guys want to get into office and represent the student body? Let's start with the president. What made you want to run for office?
Because I wanted to improve the school and all that stuff, just because it's a bit.
Okay, good.
I've always thought about wanting to be in a place of leadership in my school, and I never really got into it in 6th and 7th grade, but now I thought that I'm an 8th grader and I was well acquainted with the school. It was a perfect opportunity for me to get into that role.
Wow. Perfect. Wow. You guys just want to keep on going? I love it. Yeah.
Well, I've always loved to lead, and so no matter what it is, I've always wanted to take that opportunity. So it's just really fun.
Good.
I just really wanted to improve the school for the new incomers of the school, especially because I dance with a lot of people who are coming into 6th grade this year. So I really wanted to improve the school for them.
Wow, great. And why don't we start with Ellie or Ella?
We have the same name.
Okay, that makes it easy.
Well, like Cassie, I just feel like I've kind of always been a leader, and I just wanted to share that with some other students.
Good.
I've never really thought about joining student council. I probably wouldn't have wanted to, but then I was like, why not? I'll just run, and see what happens. And then I won. And then I was like, okay.
That's usually the way it happens.
Like being on a school board.
Right. Somebody tells you to run and represent them, and you do, and you win.
And it's fun.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. And it's big responsibility.
Yeah.
My sister is in 6th grade this year, and I really wanted to make sure that the school was in good condition when I left.
Oh, I love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I have a question. So you've been doing it now for a couple of months, right? So is it exactly what you thought it was going to be?
No.
I don't see any yeses.
Yeah.
How was the fundraising?
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. No, that's great.
It's hard to get the word out there, but the announcements help and posters help.
It's always the toughest part, of a lot of these jobs is building revenue is, bringing in money and things like that. And it's hard to ask people for money, It's good for you guys for doing so well,
Mhm.
especially on the food drive,
Yeah.
down this time of year. Boy, those families that you guys help, it means the world to them. Good job.
Usually have a prize for the winner, so that helps too.
Never hurts.
Incentives.
Yes, incentive. Yeah.
I'm curious about next semester. What goals or what visions do you guys have for next semester?
We're trying to do 2 dances, one 7th and 8th grade one, and then the annual 8th grade dance. Those are goals, I guess.
Those are definitely big on the list.
Yeah.
Any dreams anybody's kind of thinking of? Ooh, couldn't we maybe? Well,
Well, I'm trying to plan something else other than a dance that would be more popular that students would like. We're still trying to decide on.
some kind of a get together, kind of, yeah. Nice. Very cool.
Well, thank you all.
Oh, I'm
for-
just
sorry.
curious about the historian.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So what do you do as a historian? I mean, you save documents and then archive them?
I don't, I'm not sure I do
Okay.
much of that. I've kind of, I don't really know. I don't do much archiving. I don't really know exactly what historian does yet. We're still trying to figure that out.
Okay, yeah.
Historian is typically in charge of like the social media piece.
Oh, okay.
We just haven't gone down that road. just yet.
We'll wait till the
Yeah.
end of the year and then
Yeah, I
come
know.
back and
Yeah,
let's see how it
right,
goes.
Exactly.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
Hearing
yeah.
about it.
Interesting. Can you share the fun thing that you're doing around school? I just love it because each one adds a different flavor to our school, and he's created this game that has really excited students.
Yeah, it's like supposed to be like, those like secret games that people keep playing and it's like instant prize and stuff. And I keep doing that and I thought it was gonna be, gonna drop down. But no, it got higher and higher, so I was like, I should continue, but I need some help. I didn't say anything about it because I wanted to be, to find out the answers at the end of this game. And it's kind of hard because mostly my printer is out of ink and all stuff, so I just don't have time. But it's because I don't know where to put the questions around the school.
So he puts the clues around the slope.
Mm.
And so people have to find, they read the clue and try to find the answer, then they go to a different part of the school or to a staff member.
Oh, wow.
And so it's been really
Wow,
fun. It's been
okay.
creating a lot of, spirit.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that it would grow to what it is. Now people are just like, where's the next clue? Where's the next
Wow.
clue? And they want more, they want more.
That's cool.
That's
So-
really
That sounds like some work too.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the amount of work it would.
Yeah.
I did that a few years ago. It was before COVID actually, and it was all GPS based. And you had to find the coordinates on a GPS and go, like you drive out to the desert, you drive behind some billboard or something like that and dig in the ground and there's a box and it would give you the coordinates to the next clue and the next clue and the next clue.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, very clever.
Wow.
Really cool though.
Yeah.
That's super smart though, because you found a way to get people engaged and that's something, even if you don't do that exact same thing, it's like a reminder of how something small can really get popular and reach people. So that's really cool. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
That's serious.
For those of you in 8th grade, do you plan to go into student government in 9th grade or into high school and kind of continue your leadership career?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That speaks a lot to your experience and your.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't expect what it was gonna be like, right?
Yeah.
What do you think it was gonna be like? And then what is it now?
Well, I thought it was just gonna be all strict and just boring, just sitting there. But it's actually really fun and Miss Laurie makes it really interactive and stuff, so I'm just sitting there.
I think that's perfect, yeah. That's great.
That's great. Having a fun teacher and leader and mentor,
Yeah.
doing all this stuff is critical. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As I said at the start, I have the Rockstar team is here. It's amazing. They all have so much to offer and so much creativity and it's all in different, different ways and different forms and they just they come together at lunch and it's like a social hour and they're chatting and then suddenly work's done and the bell's ringing and everybody's scrambling. And it's like, I gotta close the notes and it's great. It's just so much fun with these guys. It's just, I couldn't ask for a better team this year. Thank you all so much for your hard work.
And we didn't ask for better advice or.
We would love that.
Let's see. Should we be more in front, you guys, maybe, or?
Yeah, why can't they? I'll come up to you guys.
Yes, in a very small picture discreetly set aside on your own individual page.
And again, they're all taller than us.
Say this is like the tallest people. They can have our seats and we'll move up there. Just about.
Oh, now they're down. Now they're down. Miss Laurie's coming in.
No.
You want to jump in? Oh, here. I'll sell your sweater.
It's like the paparazzi out there.
I know, just look around. Yeah. You like Taylor Swift, you know.
Yeah, this is the New Brighton tour.
All right.
Oh, yes. Great God. Yes, you guys. Thank you so much. I thought it was cute that two of the.
Congratulations on winning your
lady that did the salute and this one in the blue jacket. She was like, "You're like the same. Yeah, yeah. Our leaders are so connected. Yeah.
Great job, you guys. Thank you all. Yeah. Thank you.
The grounds of a real meeting.
You guys. Good being here.
Thank you. Good night. Pick a seat, anything. Yeah.
And then there was one. Two.
Okay, Ralph, welcome back. Oh, okay. That was an amazing way to start the meeting. Keep going. Public communications. I'm not going to read the whole blurb on public communications, but we do have the opportunity for people to speak on anything that's not on our agenda. Is there anyone here in person who'd like to speak to anything that's not on our agenda? No? Okay. Next up then is our annual organizational meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Scott.
Yeah, so this is always an exciting time. First, I gotta say, thank you, Amanda and Callie, for serving as president and vice president respectively. Couldn't have asked for better leadership of the board or better representation for the community. So with that said, we're going to head right into nominations. And so if I can get to that section of the agenda here, I believe the first one up is for president, if memory serves.
Yep, I think it's page 6.
Thank you.
6.
I was so engrossed with all the students.
I know.
I wasn't scrolling.
Got a few vendor reports to throw.
So yeah, so let's begin with our with
I'll make the
president.
nomination.
All right, go for it.
Callie, I think Callie would serve excellent as our president, so I would like to nominate her.
Like to nominate Ted. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I would like to second that emotion. I think Callie would make a
Callie,
fantastic board member.
Absolutely.
Do you accept?
Yes, you have to accept.
Take it.
Thank you guys so much. I'm really honored
Okay,
by
good.
that. Yeah.
We saw you in action the other day,
Yeah.
you know, and you bang that gavel.
Got the map.
Everybody came alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yes.
Come on down.
Come on up.
Come on in. We are conducting our annual organizational meeting, so we are electing our president for the next year. So we have a nomination and a second. We just have Callie who accepted. I'm gonna third, even though that's not.
I'm glad you all asked.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, yeah. No, I want to go through that. What's in there that I don't do well?
Display law election. Halfway down.
I think so, yeah. Gift face.
Tough to choose, huh?
Yeah.
No, it's great, yeah.
Great job, you guys.
It's all right, yeah, it's like.
Yeah.
Where's Miss Laurie? Does Miss Laurie need something? You wanna pick it?
In between.
You're welcome. Good night.
Assertiveness.
Yeah. You never know
Yeah.
until you ask, right?
I know they're in and out.
Yeah.
Most exciting organization.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And so I will fourth it.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you guys so much. I accept and I'll do my very best to make sure everyone gets a voice and we get all that business done.
No, you will.
So thank you guys so much.
Oh, you
I'm
will.
really honored. Thank you.
So we gotta do
You
the
want,
vote, right?
yeah, you wanna call for the vote?
Yeah, that's right. We've had a nomination, we've had a second, a third and a fourth. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll go through all of the seats and then we'll do a little shuffle around to our new chairs here. Congratulations, President Kelly.
Oh, we're gonna do that today then?
Right now,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Start next.
Any good president needs a running mate, and since Callie will be moving over to a new seat, we'll need a vice president.
I nominate Robert.
We have a nomination. Do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll do it
I'll
with Cal.
second. Okay, for sure. I'll second it then, okay.
We have a nomination for Robert Dickinson to be vice president. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now we can do the shuffle. So Callie, you're welcome to come over to your new seat.
I gotta tell you guys, I'm honored. I'm really, and I feel like Callie does. I mean, thank
Yeah.
you. I
Congratulations.
can't wait.
Yeah.
I look so wow.
All right.
We usually, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we always usually shuffle, but we can do it. We can do it.
right.
Yeah.
We
You
can
got-
ask
you got
Amanda
this.
questions, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then you gotta go that way. No, I'll stick where I am.
Is that the secretary?
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
you're the sec.
I'm the historian.
Yeah.
I do the social media stuff.
That was good.
I don't know what it is yet, but.
None of them did.
That'll be on a committee item.
You wanna, you see at the end there?
I don't think there's anybody that has board meetings.
Want me to go to the end? Where do you wanna
Yeah,
go?
yeah.
Okay. No, as long as the name tag, as long as that's good for you.
Yes, move the names.
Yeah, the names.
That had to move a long ways, huh?
Nice to meet you, Madam President. I just binge watched that show, by the way. Madam President. Madam Secretary.
Okay, so this is trial by fire. We'll see how this goes.
You got this.
Yeah.
No fire, no
Item
fire.
7C.
Can we do one thing first? I'd also just love to acknowledge the job that Amanda did.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Before and walked us through everything. Really nicely done.
Yes.
And our answers on the email are just
Yes.
great.
Yeah, always the right advice.
Mhm.
One final act.
Moving of the names.
Oh, there you go. It's kind of important.
My name's still the same.
We'll change it so you're no longer. Good.
Thank you, Amanda.
Sure.
On to item 7C.
All right. No, I think I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Next, we're electing a board secretary.
Yeah, the most enticing of all the positions is board secretary. Traditionally in our district, that has served, the superintendent has served in that capacity. And so, should the board desire it, I'd be more than glad to fill that capacity again.
I'll nominate Scott Turnbull.
The second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
All right, well, it is. Smooth sailing.
Don't forget this little thing.
Oh, yeah, I do. I need that. Oh, yeah. Okay, all right. Next, let's consider approval of the board committee appointments for the 2024 calendar year.
Thank you, President. So on page 69 of the docket, item 7D, you'll see the memo has the committees that board members have traditionally served in our district, including Child Nutrition Advisory Committee, the Capitola Soquel Chamber of Commerce, the Joint Leadership Team, that's along with the City of Capitola, the Santa Cruz County School Boards Association, the CSBA delegate in some years, Racial Justice Task Force, and the Fiscal Prioritization Team. You see the committee members listed there. And when we do this, we try to go at a little bit slower clip because Jen has her scorecard ready to take all the nominations as we go. So we'll go one at a time. If that's okay with you, if I go through that way. So for the Child Nutrition Advisory Committee, currently Ted serves as the point person for that and Phil is the alternate. Is there anybody who would like to make a nomination, or is there anybody who would like to serve on that committee? Would like to volunteer for that first?
There's like 20 meetings a month, you know, and I mean, I'd be happy to stay on it.
Great.
It's interesting, yeah,
Okay.
it's interesting, very
Great.
interesting stuff.
Judging by the food that.
Yeah,
All the credit.
Man.
Yeah.
Too late.
And if it's okay with the president, we'll do one vote at the end.
Sounds
So
good.
make it nice and smooth.
Sounds good.
Okay, next up is the Capitola Soquel Chamber of Commerce. Callie and Robert have served in that capacity with myself as the alternate.
I think it's important that they stay on that, leaders of our district, of the board, so I think, personally, I think they should serve or could serve another year.
Was open to that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right,
Unless
moving on
anybody
down the
else-
list.
Yeah, no.
We have the Joint Leadership Team, which just recently met with Amanda and Callie joined that. Quite often the alternate joins in with that, which I think is just great because we can have two board members there and
Mhm.
still be in compliance with the Brown Act. So Amanda and Callie, are you interested in continuing that capacity?
I don't mind continuing. I think sometimes the board, I mean, certainly want to make sure the board president's in there. If the
Oh,
board-
that's a
if
good
the vice
idea.
president would
Right.
rather
Thank
be
you.
in there
Yeah.
in my spot, that's fine too. So it's we've been meeting at 5:30
Yeah.
every other month.
Yeah, every month, every other month-ish,
Yeah.
yeah, and on
Okay.
Zoom,
On Zoom.
make it convenient.
Do they really? Wow.
Every once in a while, we try to have an in-person, but there's so many different schedules, it makes it easier.
Mhm.
Sure.
You open to it?
Good, yeah.
So that's Callie and Robert serving in that capacity. And I think if it's okay with the board, rather than have an alternate, we'll just make both of those folks
Yeah,
representatives.
that's what we've done before,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
great. All right, moving on down the list here, we got SCUSBA, which Amanda has served in a very honorable way, and Robert has been alternate. Amanda, would you be interested in continuing that capacity?
I would. I actually
Good,
enjoy that
okay.
group. I get a lot out of
Yeah.
it, so.
Yeah.
Robert, you're
Good,
good
yeah.
with being the alternate?
For sure.
All right. We're moving through. I love it. CSBA delegate is just, we had that on there previously, but that is a voted on recognized item through CSBA. But I think it's important to note that Phil has served in that capacity for our district and our sub-region for CSBA before. So thank you for that service, Phil. But not something we would take a vote on here.
Mhm.
We'll move on to the Racial Justice Task Force, which Amanda has served on and Phil has served as the alternate. How are you all feeling about that?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm happy to continue the work.
Just
I
let me
love
know if you need me.
seeing, I definitely, thank you for showing up for me when
Yeah.
when I can't have
Yeah.
to continue the work unless there's someone else who'd rather have a turn.
No.
I think you've done great.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so important. I think you're a great voice on there.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have the Fiscal Prioritization Team, which again, we have it listed as a member and an alternate, but in practice, we have just had two members actually serving on the team. So if the board's okay with making that change rather than an alternate, we'll just have two members serving. Currently, those members are Callie and Robert. What are you thinking about that? Feeling good about it?
Let's keep on going.
Yeah, President, and
Is
Vice President?
that feeling okay? The load's feeling
Yeah.
all right for
There
everyone?
we- okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we just had a meeting. I thought it was a good meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. All right, Jen, do you want to just give a quick summary of that and then turn it over to Kelly to take a vote?
Yes, so for Capitola SoCal Chamber of Commerce, I have trustee Edmondson and trustee Dickinson. For Child Nutrition Advisory Committee, I have trustee Donnelly with trustee Rodriguez as the alternate. Joint Leadership Team, I have trustee Edmondson and trustee Dickinson. Fiscal Prioritization Team, I have trustee Edmondson and trustee Dickinson. Racial Justice Task Force, I have trustee Jackson Miller and trustee Rodriguez as the alternate. And Santa Cruz County School Board Association, trustee Jackson Miller and trustee Dickinson as the alternate.
Great. So is this a motion that we,
I move.
would someone make a motion to approve the, appointments?
I
No,
did.
Phil
Yeah, I
moves.
did.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, approved.
Awesome. Moving right along,
All
the
right.
dates.
Oh, yeah. Next, we're gonna do the approval of the board meeting dates for the 2024-25.
Great. Jen has put a lot of work into mapping out the dates for the 24-25 school year for the proposed dates. Try to be real mindful about actual calendar events like the CSBA conference, and also trying to be mindful and respectful of major holidays, not just Christian holidays. And so with all of that in mind, you have the dates there that we are meeting for the 23-24 school year. And on the right side of the memo, you have the proposed dates for 24-25.
I had one, and I think it was just a typo, but it was, one of them was, I think was a Tuesday? Is it February? Oh, February 5th. 2024 is a Monday. So do we mean the 7th, maybe February 7th?
That would actually be 2025, right? If you're looking at February dates,
February 5th is a Monday.
February 5th, 2025.
So like the
that
left
what-
column is 23-24 and the right column is 24-25. So if we're looking on the February in the right column, that's gonna be February 25.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
There you go. Excellent. So then we're good. Okay.
So just a quick question, and it could be just the way the calendar falls out, but this calendar year or this year, we have 2 October meetings, and next one, we're only gonna have 1. So that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you notice in the memo, that October meeting was moved off the calendar 24-25 due to a prominent Jewish holiday.
Oh, okay. And then the June, okay, we're gonna stick with a late June meeting.
If the
Okay,
board is acceptable, that it provides district personnel that very coveted extra time to budget and LCAP just right.
It's good.
Yeah. I was gonna say we have 2 in April next year, which is a little different, but that must mean that spring break is the last week of March. It all evens out.
Anticipated. Yeah.
well, there's 2 March meetings too.
And none of my
Yeah. Oh,
reality
you guys get
shows
a
are on
lot.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Yeah, yeah.
Monday, the Golden
Bachelor, that's right.
All right. Are we ready for a vote? Any more questions?
Well, I'll move to approve the agenda as it stand, or the meeting dates as it stands.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, any opposed? Okay, we're good.
Well done.
Okay.
Any comments from the public?
I think organizational meeting.
We don't have to do that part.
An action? Okay.
Like I said, trial by fire.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we moving on to presentation?
Standing reports is up, isn't it?
Oh.
Okay.
All right, standing reports. So items from the superintendent. Would you like to go first?
Sure, you're gonna switch it up. I like it.
Oh.
No, that's
Fine.
good. I love it. I usually get to go last. I love it. So I'll be brief because I know we have a full agenda tonight. Just wanted to actually start off with a couple of recognitions for committee. Recently we had the joint leadership team along with 2 members of the city of Capitola City Council and city manager Jamie Goldstein, and it was very productive. We talked about the new Brighton Field project and really continue to feel the momentum of working with that project in collaboration to serve the entire community. We talked about their equity swim program, which they work with us in collaboration to identify families, a way to broaden the number of families who are able to participate in swim lessons, and also ultimately junior guards, which is such an important part of our community here. And then also a collaborative art project in which we're working to beautify a part of the city, and having some of our students design tiles that will ultimately beautify a part of the city. So that was a great meeting. And we also recently had, as was mentioned, the fiscal prioritization team. And we talked about the stable budget, which we're going to hear a little bit more about later. I do want to quickly share the talking points, because that's one of our agreements as a part of that fiscal prioritization team, is that whenever we have a chance, we share common talking points across the whole organization. So that way we're all working with the same information. So the talking points were that as an overview of the budgets for between 23 and 2026, there's a several $billion shortfall compared to the projections that were done just as recently as June. And that although it's not certain, nothing is certain yet, the expected COLA for 2024-25 is somewhere between 0.5 and 1.5%. One-time funding, soft money as it's often referred to, has a variety of deadlines attached to it, several different buckets, but some of it is coming to an end, and that's going to impact our overall budget too. Prop 28, the arts and schools grant money from the state will be funded this spring. It's not one-time money. It's part of the state constitution, and there are several still unknowns about the implementation, but we are working on it. Future topics for the fiscal prioritization team will be intervention and counseling in the district, and also facilities. We're going to talk about later tonight too. I had my superintendent's town hall last week, and we Ralph LaRue came on board, and we talked about the new Brighton Field, amongst a few other things, including improved attendance in the district. And I want to say thank you to both associations, CSEA and SEA, as we have a tentative agreement with both associations. And not only the tentative agreement, but the spirit and positive collaborative nature of those negotiations. And happy holidays.
Nice. All right, exciting. Assistant superintendents, would you like to?
Oh, it's a lot to come after. So I also was at the fiscal prioritization team meeting, and that went great. And everything that Scott said, I did at that. I had my big meeting at the COE, which is the CBO's assistant soups of business and so forth. And again, we discussed, the shortfall of the budget and perhaps what the estimated COLA may be. It's still the same, 0.5, 1.5%. We don't know yet. January, we'll have a little bit more information. So waiting on that eagerly. Also attended a basketball game in New Brighton. It was their last 8th grade game, which was really nice. I love getting out there and seeing the kiddos and watching them have fun. Also stopped by a soccer game. You guys did enjoy that for a bit. Wrapped up first interim, and also the business team was able to have a super fast turnaround time with payroll. They had to process it within a day. So they got payroll processed in a day's time because of the holiday season and so forth. So with that, happy holidays. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Jessica.
All right, just an echo, both negotiation teams were fabulous, probably the best feelings we've ever had, as far as I can tell. FPT also great. So much of the work that's being done on the business side of the house is just rocking and rolling so nicely with my new partner here, Allison and Scott. So just with Ed Services, we've got a lot going on right now, but I'll just narrow it down to 2 of my favorites. One of my favorites in the past 2 weeks has been a visit over to SoCal Elementary specifically, and walking with Mr. Witter through some classrooms and looking specifically at literacy instruction, targeted literacy instruction with some of the changes that have been made. In one classroom in particular, a teacher was trying some really new practices and strategies that they had just learned, and the kids were doing them and engaged and having fun, and we were so happy to see it. We're like, when you go to want to see something and then you see it, it's great. So thank you, Mr. Witter, and thanks to your team. It was a fabulous day. And then to just planning for professional learning in our district is one of the things that I love to do the most. And we've got a really big day coming up in January 8th. We're continuing to partner with our County Office of Education partners, and Nicole Anderson and Associates will have some people here that day. We've got a lot of really great sessions. I'll forward the agenda to the board should you want to know what is being learned or talked about, or you want to visit. We'd love to have you. We're going to have breakfast sandwiches from Scotts Valley Market, and we're going to have lunch from local Mina in Watsonville. So hopefully the day will be as well as it is intended to be. But really good stuff going on. And then the last thing I'll say is we had a really great meeting with our transitional kindergarten and kindergarten teachers this past Monday to talk about teaching and learning in those early years and what it's going to look like in years to come, right? Because kids are coming to school a little earlier, and that means that we need to change how we bring kids into school and engage them in their learning and how we support the teachers in the process. So that's been really great too. So those are my updates for tonight.
Great.
Is that going to be here, the PD at New Brighton?
It'll be at New Brighton.
Okay.
The main sessions, the big general sessions will be in the back.
Okay.
And then some of the breakout sessions will be in the classrooms. So I'll send you the agenda with all of the classrooms and all of that stuff. You can come if you like.
Nice. Great. Thank you guys for those updates. CSEA. Do we have?
Hello.
Hello.
I am representing CSEA. I'm the office manager at Main Street Elementary School and the secretary of CSEA. And just wanted to send a heartfelt thank you from our membership. We've all been super excited to receive notification that we are going to be able to take advantage of the summer assistance program. And so our membership is super excited and very grateful, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a statement from SEA.
Oh, great.
Yes, SEA will not have anyone available to represent our membership at the board meeting tonight. However, we would like to take this opportunity to wish everyone a restful and joyful winter break and a healthy, happy, and safe start to the new year. We will see you again in 2024.
Great. All right. Items from trustees, reports on meetings or conferences, visits to schools or public communications.
Want to go down there? You want me to
Sure.
start?
Yeah, you can start.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Scott covered the joint leadership team, so I did attend that and appreciate that opportunity. And also it's really nice the way city council members are really keyed into what might be good for students and really thinking about, we're all working together for the community, and they're thinking specifically about how things will work for our students. And it's wonderful. I wanted to also just give a thank you to Scott and Mark Lewis and everyone else who was involved in the very, very wonderful video that we got to see that was shared out with district families and staff. So end of year commentary and wishes from our students. And that was really, really wonderful. So I know we all enjoyed it.
Mark has a great knack for this.
Yes.
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Well, first of all, the artwork. Thank you for hanging it. Got the monarchs, the Partridge Family bus over there. I know that's from SoCal, and thank you. It always brightens up the room. Also, a big congratulations to SoCal High for their CIF championship. And we had, I'm not sure how many, but we had New Brighton alumni that were on the team. And I know they took with the Pop Warner championship as well, too. So they're going places. Hopefully they're not seniors yet. So big congratulations to them. And the video was awesome too. I'd like to bring in some of the musicians in here. That'd be a lot of fun. There you go. So then on a whole nother note, November, which I missed, was actually National Homeless Youth Awareness Month. I'd love to see it on next November's agenda. And in our county, it states here they have 2,709 children and youth experiencing homelessness in the county. And that's 7% of the student population in the whole county as it is. And just one of my, in the CSBA Ed Surge, they actually had a little article about that in schools in a school in San Diego. It's a public-private school, so I'm not sure what a public-private school is, but they have showers available. They have, I lost my notes here. Anyways, I call it hygiene rooms, the showers, they have food, clothing, they have everything set up for students that are homeless, and how do they come to school and not having the stigma of being the homeless child walking on our schools. So someday I would love to see all the schools have a room like that where they could go in, shower, eat, clothes, do whatever needs to be done. And that's it. So next November, make sure it's on there.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's great. This was a really busy couple of weeks for us. I had the pleasure of joining the fiscal prioritization team, which I thought was really neat and a great way to go through our finances and figure out what's going on over the years. I'd like to thank Jen and Scott for arranging everything for the CSBA conference. I thought that was really well done, completely smooth, coming into that. That was a great conference that we went to up in San Francisco, and it was a good way to hopefully get better at our jobs. Speaking for myself, I learned a lot. I went to several different strategy sessions, how to strategize for successful labor negotiations, WhatsApp and artificial intelligence. I went to another one on declining enrollment. I also went to one on ChatGPT, advanced school finance, dual language learners, and early literacy and TK, which blew my mind. Like, there's so much going on that I'm just catching up with some of this stuff. I mean, what you guys are doing is really incredible, putting these programs together for some of the first times, and the challenges you're facing, really crazy. I met with a bunch of people down in the kind of the trade show area, which was all about trades, which I loved that, college isn't the pathway for some students, and being able to get a job. I figure it's kind of one of our goals as a board members, is to make sure every kid either goes to college or is at least career ready, and so talking to pipe fitters and HVAC and the military and electricians and things like that, and having them have a presence at job fairs or the schools to let kids know that you don't have to go to spend $300,000 on a 4-year education, to have a job and be happy and have a successful life. And I think that's really important. At the end of the conference was Mark Perna, which was a kind of a motivational speaker, who was absolutely fantastic. And I know I was talking to Amanda about him as well, but he talked about lifestyle versus career, and Generation Z right now is all about lifestyle, and like Generation X is all about career. When I was in high school, it's all about what am I going to do in the future. Now it's all about, that doesn't fit my lifestyle. I want to have this lifestyle, and I want to have the job and career that matches that. And how do you connect with kids growing up in this Gen Z, and talking about competitive advantage. And one of the thing that resonated the most with me was career trees. And I don't know if that's a possibility. I'd love for us to look into that. But he said a lot of schools now are putting up these career trees for different careers, whether it's an electrician or plumbers or HVAC or something like that, or electricians, and at the bottom of the tree is, the leaves at the bottom of the tree. The kids would come up and put their leaf on the bottom of the tree. And that's what you can do with no education. You can be an, office manager or whatever it might be, to have no, very little college education. Then if you have an AA, you can have these jobs and it'll pay this amount. And then if you want to get a master's or a, doctorate, then you can, the top of the tree. And it really lets kids, you'd think every kid would put it on the top, but, this whole tree is full, of kids identifying something that is interesting to them and what they want to pursue. And I think that might be valuable moving forward. And that's it.
Great. And then I'll report that I attended the fiscal prioritization team joint leadership, and then CSBA. There will be time later in the agenda to share CSBA. Can we move to, oh, that's it for standing reports. All right, moving on to Principal Witter and SoCal Elementary telling us about your school programs. Closer to everyone. Thank you, Melina.
I know.
Here's what it's clear.
That guy. I like what's. Yeah.
Except for Dean, so chill.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks for having me. For our 2023-2024 presentation, going to focus on two general areas. So student engagement, some of the initiatives that we're working on to interest and include as many students as possible. And then closing gaps, so some of the programs and things that we have to help all students to achieve. So the first, to be just jumping right into it, is the Extended Learning Opportunities Plan, so ELOP as we call it. This is the plan that we created where students can be in school for up to 9 hours a day. We're a school of about 350 kids, so we've got over 200 that are a part of ELOP. So it's a majority of our kids that are part of it, which is great. It's a combination of enrichment and intervention classes. So in the morning, we have reading and computers. And then after school for enrichment, we have art, yoga, soccer, theater, video game design, band, books club, and some others. And then for intervention, we have Spanish club, reading, literacy center, phonics, handwriting, math club, and some others. And we're really proud that we've been able to offer this with SoCal and district staff. You can use outside organizations as well, which can be great, but we've been able to do it with staff that know our students, that know our families, et cetera. Next, with student engagement, enrichment. And this is fortunately for us, we've had this for a while, strong tradition of enrichment at SoCal. I think arguably we could say maybe some of this started with music with Miss Bach. She is a master of her craft, and our students, they've been engaged with high quality music instruction and experiences for a long time at SoCal. Some years ago, we added Miss Blackburn and sort of a similar thing, but with art. And so she uses many different mediums and is somehow able to lead and manage very high quality art projects for TK through 5th grade. Then, I guess about 2.5 years ago now, we were able to add garden with Miss McElroy. And our students, they get to experience hands-on science in our garden that she built from the ground up, literally, which really was just dirt before, of course. And then last year, we started our makerspace, and that's a space for creation and building soft skills. So planning, communication, collaboration, etc. In there today, as an example, so our 2nd graders, they're studying shapes in their geometry unit. So they were in there in teams building 3D designs. And a culminating event for all of these areas of enrichment, if any are available, is on May 2nd. We'll have our arts on the green in the evening. So we'll be showing off all of these. So that'll be coming. With student engagement, next would be student leadership. And student council, this is a typical group, right, in a school, like our kids that we just had here. We've really been working on, though, at SoCal elevating student voice and problem-solving school issues with students, with the school site council. So just some quick examples. So our upper graders, we had some complaints that primary was doing PE at the same time at lunch, so they had less field to use. So they brought that to student council. From there, went to our staff leadership, right? So we sort of made our plan from there. Or we had some primary students that were complaining about with soccer, we didn't have lines, so they couldn't figure out exactly who was out. So they brought that to student council and how we problem solved that. And then maintenance was able to put lines down for us. So some simple examples. We have our playground posse. So this is 4th and 5th graders that support with primary lunch. And their purpose is inclusion, getting everyone involved, and then teaching game rules through play. And really seeing with them this year an improvement with clear and consistent game rules. So we teach those at the beginning of the year, and they're a big part of reinforcing that for us. And then just this year, we started our Rainbow Club. So we've had a great turnout. It's a safe place to celebrate diverse gender identities. I'd say about half the kids identify with that community, and about half are supportive friends. And some of their activities they do read alouds, educational games. They have guest speakers, and that's the picture that's on here. They do crafts, etc. Moving on to closing gaps. First one would be foundational reading. So this has been a major shift in how we teach reading to primary students. And so this is the science of reading research, looked at our current practices right now. So we've really changed how we teach phonics. It's a heavy focus on phonics in kindergarten through 2nd grade. We have a really strong phonics program with UFly out of the University of Florida. And then we focus on phonemic awareness in TK through 1st grade with Hegarty. And then for small group reading, we've shifted to skill-based small groups, primarily focused on phonics with decodable readers. We also do fluency and then comprehension. But it's a really big shift from guided reading that we were primarily doing before. Guided reading still very strong, especially for our higher readers or upper grade kids. But the skill-based groups has really been the big shift. And we've changed our assessments. So we now assess phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, and just seeing really strong growth with that. We do also, this has been a tradition for some time at SoCal, so data meetings. So these happen 3 times a year, really a vital part, we think, of what we do. It's an opportunity for us to analyze what's going well, what needs to improve. It allows us to really match the needs that we have to the resources that are available to us. Allows us to work on student needs as a full school. And, there was a time not long ago, maybe we would have thought of struggling students being really supported by intervention or maybe special education. But data meetings are a way that really makes it all of our job, right? It's our teachers that are really supporting our struggling students. And then in our data meetings, each grade level does a cycle of inquiry project that they plan out in those meetings. And then we can allocate resources accordingly. So some examples are in kindergarten, they're focusing on phonemic awareness. 3rd grade is building number sense in math. 4th grade is supporting lower readers in Readers Workshop. 5th grade has been working on building academic vocabulary and discourse in math. And then we'll be reviewing that in our next data meetings that happen in the end of January. So that's coming up. Next, with closing gaps, we have, see if I don't go too far, cradle to career. So we very fortunate to have our community organizer through the county Cradle to Career program. And her focus has been getting parents involved, getting parents to lead at the school. She's really an ally for our parents and a point person for them. She leads regular parent leadership committee meetings. So they call them PLCs. And they work hand in hand with our other groups like the Home and School Club and the School Site Council. One of their recent initiatives they did was a conflict resolution training, and that's what the picture is right here. It's how to support your students when there are conflicts. Went really well, and they're planning their 2nd round that will be coming up. And then last, in terms of closing gaps, is intervention. And we're really fortunate. We have 3 intervention staff members, 1's full-time and 2 are part-time. And big shift for us has been moving intervention into the classroom. So we'd call it more push-in versus pull-out, or some of the terms we'd use. Makes support less fragmented for kids. Kids aren't missing stuff as much if they're going somewhere else. It increases collaboration between teacher and intervention staff. There's times when pullout really is very appropriate with some of our newcomer English language development groups, or where you maybe have students in different classes, so you need to do pullout to be able to group them. But for the most part, it's been much more about push-in that we've been focusing on. And intervention staff, they also support our teachers in many ways. So this year, they've been mentoring staff on phonics, supporting with resources, working on math assessments, and more. And that is our 2003, 2004 SoCal L presentation.
Yay.
That's great.
Good.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
So what is a cycle of inquiry?
So they do so first we go through all of our data, and so then it's choosing some area that we really think that we need to work on most.
Mhm.
And then it's doing like a basic problem solving process. So like, what do we know so far? What more do we want to know? What possible strategies? So working through it like that. And then that's one of the initiatives they're working on up until our next data meetings.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
think
it's kind of like a root cause analysis-y thing.
yeah,
right?
definitely.
I had that, sorry, but I had that question as well. Thank you for asking it. And then you mentioned, sounds like each grade level is working, or each working on its own cycle of inquiry
Yep.
project.
Yep.
Everyone's doing that on top of all of the
Mhm.
heavy lift they
Yeah,
do in there.
yeah.
That's really.
And with some of these,
I mean,
you start.
everyone works really hard, but that's.
Yeah, and with
There's
some
a
of
lot.
these, you start and you kind of wait and see, and it's been going really well. But yes, it's on top of everything else, which makes it tough. I mean, if you do it well, they're focusing on the thing that you're noticing the most, right? So you want to solve it, you want to do it. So, but yeah, and we started that last year, and then we're continuing that this year.
I got a question about the parent-led initiatives. How do you get, I know one of the challenges we all see all the time is keeping the parents involved and engaged and everything. How are you doing that? And what are some of the initiatives and parent-led activities that you guys are working through?
Yeah. So with at least with Cradle to Career, it's been interesting just because it's a little bit different than kind of how I've worked in the past. It's sort of been a slow process because the whole idea of it is bringing up your parent leaders. So it's not just things that I think they should be doing or in a certain way. And so it's been interesting to watch because she's just slowly sort of building her group. They always come to the meetings that they have. I mean, this isn't a huge one in terms of, let's say, results, but they've been doing a lot in terms of celebrating staff, but they're doing it in their way, which has been neat to see versus kind of ways that I'm telling them. So they had delivered for Thanksgiving, they came around and delivered pies, and we had our option of pies. And again, so this isn't like a student achievement thing, but still it all came from them. It's the way they wanted to do it. They came around with gifts this year also, or for the Christmas time. But that's kind of at least how it's been with this program. Is it's slowly coming up because really they're the ones that are leading it.
Right.
And so it's not necessarily the way that I would do it, but it's been great so far. And it's been parents that otherwise we really hadn't had involved.
That's what, so they're not on student council or
Yeah.
student site.
Yeah, for sure.
The same group.
Yeah, usually the same group on the school club, or school site council and
Yeah.
everything. So if you get a diverse crowd to be engaged, that's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you save me a spot in the conflict resolution training?
Really. I like the maker spaces and that going, last one was at SoCal, it was just getting together. So it sounds like it's really coming along in the garden. Yeah, like you said, there was nothing there. I mean, just ate our soccer balls or softballs. And it's really grown out. The students, they're eating what they're growing, right? For salads.
They do eat some of the food. I wouldn't say that's huge component. It's really much more about them going through the process.
Okay.
But they do eat some of it, yeah.
Do they sell it to the parents and open money?
It's a good question. Where it all goes, I don't exactly know.
I
I see it. I see it happening. I see all the student learning, and I think I look away at that point. But yeah, I think a lot of it is they're eating it sort of just what they're done. But.
Yes.
So something you said, and I know I misheard it, but I just gotta ask. So back in the extended learning opportunities,
Yeah.
you mentioned a club. Now I heard band book clubs. So that's. books
I thought
are
that was it
banned?
too. And
Yeah, yeah.
It couldn't have been banned, right?
And then you get to read the banned books or?
Yeah, Miss Crump does this club. It's very popular. I know it's books that they're really into. I don't know exactly about the band part of it, to be exactly on, or to be completely honest with you. I know there's a lot of kids in there that are really into it, and so
Really?
again, I kind of looked away,
Okay.
I think at that point, but yeah, it is called the Band Books Club.
So books are like graphic, novels or?
Definitely a part of it, yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
I can just speak to that. There are books that are banned in states other than California, but they are not banned here. And so the exploration of why
Mm.
would a book be banned?
Okay,
Like what is the author trying to express? And that's really kind of the biggest component, right? So first, kids want to know, like, why isn't that okay in some places and it's okay here? But also like to enjoy just the ability, the freedom to read, right? And
so do
so
they read books that are banned in California?
Another
they're
state.
in other states.
Just other states, but not
Yeah.
Cali, okay, we
Yeah.
have to be off campus for that.
Is there a reason they're banned in other states?
Oh, yeah.
And we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, you go state to state,
I
yeah.
probably should. I should just go about.
No, yeah, I heard it right. I think I'd love to be part of that group.
Well, first of all, the teacher is fantastic.
Mhm.
The book selections are fantastic and the kids do.
That's great. Yeah.
I just wanted to commend the focus on phonics. That was really exciting to hear the way that you're working with just some of those gaps and that we've seen numbers wise, but to see to hear improvement and to hear how you guys are tackling that. I think it's a statewide issue. So it's so exciting to see that K through 12 focus.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And I was super impressed with the numbers of ELOP that I heard, 200 out of 350 students.
Yeah.
Wow. And such interesting selections too.
Yeah.
that you
Yeah,
guys-
they'll go outside sometimes, and it's almost like school is still going because it's that many kids, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And any updates on the makerspace, like Ted was saying, what's happening there?
Right now, it's being used by second grade has been, they've been hoarding it for a couple of weeks. As the shapes, we can get into some of that, but fourth and fifth grade has been using it a lot, and then second grade has kind of been heaviest, so yeah. They're getting into, what did I see? I think it was fifth graders, they were doing catapults the other day. So, yeah, yeah.
cool.
I mean, and then the power of it, right, is when you get into like the soft skills pieces of it, but yeah.
Great.
Fun to watch.
Yeah, very fun.
On the field.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, definitely, you're welcome.
presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
What, no pets?
Yeah. Do you want to take something from the?
Email.
Yeah. Would anybody in the audience like to have any questions or comments? No? Anything on email?
Nothing on email.
Okay, okay. All right. Thanks so much, Principal Witter.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And again, feel free to go home and enjoy your life.
A great holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I heard it too, and I'm like.
Dr. Glantz, Kiernan, would you like to move on to ELOP?
Sure, and what a great time to come into the ELOP discussion. Just this is not an overview of the program plan. I mean, the board has seen the plans. We revise them at the beginning of each school year and then re-revise them at the middle of each year. So at the semester, we revise the course offerings. Just a couple of things I thought that the board might want to be reminded of. First, this is like amazing. We offer 9 hours for students to be at a school in a day. It is something that I would have never imagined would have happened in my lifetime. But our kids have the ability to be at our schools for that long each day. And it's pretty remarkable that we do it with our own staff. And so that's a lot to be proud of. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that ELOP is not just for the days that kids are at school. It is for 30 more days that kids are at school. It's 210 days a year. And so I think that that sometimes gets missed in the offerings that we provide as a school district. And some of that is done in different ways in different school districts. In ours, we've been really trying to be strategic about when those offerings are. Do we offer them during fall breaks? Do we offer them during winter breaks? Do we offer them during spring breaks? Do we change our summer course offerings? And so we took a long time to think about this past year. And we have, because of the time that our students dismiss at the end of this school year and how the summer is built, we're providing all 30 of those days following school dismissal this year. Which gives families an opportunity who have to work a place for their children to be for 30 more days, which is pretty remarkable. So I just think those two things are worth noting. We don't contract with other agencies to do that work. We have the ability to contract with other agencies to do some of the work, but we don't offload the whole thing. Another thing to note is that not only in this second semester and at the beginning of every year are we planning for like which teachers are going to be teaching and what, who are we recruiting, what classrooms are we going to use, what classes are we going to offer, how are we going to schedule them, all of those kinds of things. That takes a lot of work at each of the site levels, but it also takes a lot of work on another side of things, and that is every person who works an hour of time has to have basically a form that's filled out that says, I'm working extra time and you need to pay me for that extra time. And that goes through multiple hands of people in our organization, ending up in the business department, and each one of them has to be reviewed by a person, put into a computer, and then it becomes part of their pay. So there's hundreds, if they're serving just 200 kids at one school, imagine how many staff we have across the district and how many kids we are serving and how much that time that is taking. So just, kind of trying to think about, yes, it's great for kids, but all of the things that go into the planning for this for kids is pretty remarkable. And so our business department does a great job with that. Our school office staffs do a great job with that. Our school site principals do a great job organizing that. And then our teachers, of course, they're taking attendance because these are records that we have to keep to ensure that we're meeting our obligation to the state of California because we have this special grant that's been associated with the funding. And then just one more item, each of the schools has an ELOP site coordinator, and they are really responsible for overseeing the workings of what happens at each of the school sites over the 9 hours a day. And typically that's a teacher that is working a full day and is responsible for the 9 hours that students are at school. And so these are teachers who really are committed to the idea that we have a self-designed program. And so I just, I'll just mention Gordon Barrett specifically at New Brighton, how many kids, how many classes, how many classrooms, all of these different places, and he has to remember where they all are and feed them. And it seems like it's a great thing. It just is such a great thing when you think all of the parts that are involved in it. So I just really thought it was important to bring to the board tonight, just the recognition that, there are just so many people committed to our kids getting this in part of their life that I wanted us to note it tonight. So that's my offering tonight.
That's great.
Any questions about it?
I have a question. So the summer program's going to start right after the regular year ends. Is there any value to having a Kickstarter like 2 days before school starts?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So there's two parts to the question. One is that the ELOP funding year ends the last day of June of this year. So when we plan for the grant time, it goes up until the end of June. When we talk about a boot camp or something that's related to, that's kind of a term that's, loosely related to what you're talking about. And that's something that's very typically done, right? Getting kids ready for the middle school experience. It's done at the high school level as well. And I think we talked a little bit about that the year before we went into COVID, and getting kids ready to come into a new environment. We started 2 years ago having parents and kids come onto the campus before the end of the year before. And that's a good like start of it, but really kind of trying to talk about specifically what are those scholarly practices? What does the schedule look like? Where do you get all the things that you're gonna need to get? Where are, what are the questions that you have answers about now and getting those needs met early before the first day of school starts? Like, do you have a friend on campus that you're going to meet at lunchtime, and where are you going to meet them so that you're not by yourself worrying about getting, eating alone, right? So all of those kinds of things I think are what you're talking about.
Actually, what I'm talking about is, say a day or 2 days. And so it's 2 hours of math, 2 hours of humanity. I mean, it's
Pre-learning.
here's what
Yeah.
you should have. Remember this. This is what this looks like. This is not going to count. There's going to be no quiz, no grades. But it's kind of like you warm up before you go and actually do a sport. So it's a warm up.
Yeah, I have not thought of that. So, but thank you for that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rehearsal.
it's everything is worth considering, certainly, and we're taught when we talk about the use of these funds all the time, and how they're best used. And, we're definitely open. We have talked to a lot of staff and a lot of families and a lot of kids about what they want. Our doors are always open to it, but I think for now, we're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And the coordinators, so Gordon Barrett is at New Brighton.
Alana Lowe is at Main Street. Hey, I'm not remembering who's at SoCal Elementary right now.
San Chris Gardens.
I can definitely get you the names of all of them. Sometimes they share the responsibility, like someone will do the morning time and someone will do the afternoon time, depending on how they're set up. A lot of them also like to teach courses, and so they'll split it up. So, but we do have an ELOC coordinator at each of the sites at, and it doesn't have to be a certificated person. When Jen was at Main Street, she was one of them, because we want someone who really is involved to be that person.
Yeah.
So I don't have a question, but okay. Just the comment on like how far we have come, and my journey as a parent being involved in the district was, we started back in whenever, 2008, something like that. Parent groups were fundraising to pay librarians because the district couldn't pay librarians. Any type of after school enrichment, all could only come through home and school clubs. And we didn't have equal access at all of our sites because it's entirely based on what parent groups were able to do. And, even 3-4 years ago, if someone had said, school districts are going to have this program where kids can be on campus and not just learning, but having fun, doing right, having enrichment, for 9 hours a day. It's kind of mind blowing.
It
So
is.
I really appreciate you continually reminding us of it and then kind of highlighting the heroes who are making it possible, because it's great to be able to appreciate the good and what a great opportunity it is.
Not just dropping your kids off at CKC and,
Right,
Yeah.
right, and yeah, just also like from that parent perspective of, your child goes to 6th grade, and 6th grade might be much farther from wherever, your elementary school was, at least, by our ideas. And so suddenly, just because they're 1 grade higher in school, are they ready to be home alone for however many hours, or, so the idea of like, oh no, and it was great when City of Capitola opened up the program during COVID and brought that to New Brighton. But kids are out there playing basketball and in classrooms and doing all kinds of great activities. So I really appreciate it.
And I just love that our staff work really hard during the hours that they work already.
Yeah.
And they still do it because they love it, and it shows.
Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing to the fact the logistics of it all.
Yeah.
That's great as a board member to hear and understand kind of like the inner workings of it, and I know we talked about the great job our schools have done with attendance, and I have to believe this is just such a big part of it, making it easier on parents, to get their kids to school at whatever time and being available for them. And certainly the instruction and whatever we do is such a positive aspect. I think Phil had a really kind of a neat point. And I don't know anything, keep that in mind, but I know sometimes when they go into sixth grade, a lot of the teachers have to reteach, some English fundamentals or some math fundamentals, and they spend a certain amount of time on doing that in every grade. And maybe there's some way that in the future, if we could expand the expanded, opportunities program, to maybe we could take some of the pressure off the teachers spending that first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month or whatever, reteaching what they learned, months ago, to help get them up to speed and start the class off, right? I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but I can see some sort of value in that.
Yeah, I was a kid and I remember coming back from summer school. It was like, what's
Not knowing
what does that
anything.
mean? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. It's a
what's
bus,
math?
right?
Right.
Well, I would say, the one thing that's different is that we have kids that are in school 30 more days during the summer.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure,
And
right.
that is different.
Right.
And so it's not like you have 2.5 months of I didn't do anything except hang out at the beach, right? Which is also great.
Right.
But
And it's
But that's
important,
only-
this is important.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's a smaller set of students. I'm saying for everybody.
yeah, and all I'm just saying is that, that we have a different time now and there's so many things to consider.
Great, thanks.
All right, thank you so much for that report. Presentation from board members about the California School Board Association Conference in San Francisco. Who would like to start?
I don't mind starting. If you
Go
want.
Okay.
I jotted some notes with Jen. I will email them to you if that's helpful. So we had our best professional learning opportunity of the year. So I wanted to thank Jen and Scott for getting us enrolled and getting us set up with the hotel. And it was also really great having Jen learning alongside with us at the conference.
Yeah.
That was really wonderful. As for the workshops I attended, as usual, I attended a number of sessions on good governance, as well as legal updates and budget workshops. I really enjoyed our general session speakers, and I learned more about AI, and I'm slightly less terrified about it. I'm entering it very, very slowly, but Sal Khan made a really great presentation that made it sound pretty interesting. And Robert mentioned our final speaker, and he got us really excited about connecting with students. And for me, some of the key takeaways from him were focusing on multiple pathways for students and connect with relevance for the students. And so a quote that he had that I thought was pretty meaningful is he said, if the want to is strong enough, then the how to will come. And expanding on the idea you brought up earlier of those trees, it was really neat because it allows students to say I'm interested, because I think so many we don't know at various ages in our life exactly what we want to do, but we might know I'm interested in healthcare. So just, okay, this tree is about healthcare. And so with different levels of experience and different types of degrees, these are various opportunities. And so you put your leaf kind of what you think you're interested in, and your leaf can move. And you don't have to decide, I want to be a medical doctor, and so I want to go all the way here, and I am locked into this pathway where I have to do X, Y, and Z. There are lots of different ways to go. So a little long-winded, but it was a great conference.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, okay, I'll go. Sal Khan, it's a Khan Academy. He has, cred with the public school industry. And so he got up there and he gave us the whole where he's at and what he's discovered and now where he's going. And then we had Vernon, our executive director, do a Q&A with him, which I thought was pretty interesting because I think you could see there was some tentativeness from Vernon, but not from Saul. He's sold on this thing. And so he has a product out, of course, that it has a teacher oversight built into it. So you're looking over the shoulder the whole time. So I think that kind of helps allay some of the fears. So the AI thing, the train hasn't actually left the station yet, but they have called all aboard. So it's time to get on. The other thing I went to was to see the state treasurer and the state controller tell us about our $68 billion deficit over 3 years now. So apparently last year's not done because of the tax filing extension. So there's now a realizing that they overspent last year. They're overspending this year and next year, and it's so far coming up to 68 million. I think in about 3.5 weeks, the governor will roll out his budget proposal and we'll get like what he's thinking, and then you'll have the tug of war start, between the legislature and the governor. So those were great. I attended a session on enrollment, declining enrollment, and it was linked to equity. And so when you have declining enrollment, there's a tendency for the district to try to keep everything going. And so what happens is then essentially students across the district start getting less because you have to spread out what you have and everybody gets a smaller piece of the pie. And so they're saying is that if that's going to be the case, you really have to consider that equity loss as part of the declining enrollment, and how do you keep your quality up? So that was an interesting one too. So I'd say those two that for me was the big stuff. And I got to talk to the carpenters. They're all on board with what I'm calling now the sawdust pathway.
Yeah.
I like those guys.
The wood shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on hats.
Yeah.
So man, where do I start?
Yeah.
I was on the other side of the continent, so.
We missed it, Ted.
Yeah,
we did.
thank you.
One thing that Phil, and I don't know if, I can't remember if you actually said this in one of the meetings or if you just told us you were thinking about saying it, but you were talking to somebody in the state legislature or something like that, and something about ADA, and it's like, why aren't you paid?
Oh, so
This was brilliant, and I love the colonies.
So I sat in the front row and right across from the treasurer, and when it was Q&A time, I said, I'm not complaining about the funding for schools or ADA. I think that the rest of the state should be funded on actual population. And so I said, your department, every 3 months, you should calculate how many people live here, and then you get funded on that. And she was like, that's very interesting. Spread it around because I think it's fair. We're making it work. You should be able to also.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great comment. I kind of jumped the gun and said a lot of this stuff earlier, but it was really cool. And the Sal Khan thing about AI, already having it built into his systems and things like that, when you use the Khan Academy and and I kind of disagree. I think the bus has left the station.
Yeah.
And they're, they talked a lot about, and we're going to be talking about this, I'm sure, for years to come. And, instead of looking at it like an evil thing, how do we embrace it? How do we make it work for us? How do we incorporate it, and jump on it before we give people the opportunity to do bad things with it, maybe, and how do we use it in not only our daily lives, but certainly in school with our teachers, and I think the really cool things that you probably already heard this too, and many examples of it, but they had teachers get up there, and one of them was from SoCal High, and and talked about how he incorporates his lesson plans with AI and how it gives him a framework and how he administers it to the students, and he lets them use ChatGPT or whatever it might be in AI tools, but he keeps them on track with a framework first of all, and so there's no cheating and abuse of it or something like that. But it was really neat to see how he incorporates it in his lessons, and he seemed like a very successful teacher. I know Scott knew a lot of the people over there, and I think your daughter's
English teacher.
Yeah, your daughter's English teacher, right? Which I thought was really neat, talking about how to use these things instead of just saying, oh, AI bad, and it's here to stay. So, yeah.
I forgot one thing. We got to see what our bus is going to look like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I know we have something coming up on all right, so we'll get to that. The bus technician, with Live Oak and everything.
Yep.
And I'm glad it said EV on there, because I was like, how are we get the right guy there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I wanted to highlight just how much I appreciate going to these conferences, kind of the soft skills of being able to spend time with you all, hear your thought process, hear how, things that are important to you. We had some great, some of the agencies that we work with, like the various lawyers and those people, but they offered, kind of like a buffet kind of a thing. And we got to hang out and just to be able to hear where, your opinions you guys have, how you reason things. I think that helps me just as we work together, which was, I was kind of hoping the middle schoolers I kind of wanted to hear how they, work together and come up with stuff, but I appreciate that opportunity. In terms of, things that I learned, some highlights, I also attended that ChatGPT as a tool for teaching, run by Santa Cruz. They were the school that presented. So that was, again, eye-opening. Several people have talked about it. Hearing Saul Khan talk with his, cool, seeing like what cool and collected about AI, not scared. How do we use this? His tool that he's adding into the Khan Academy, I thought was interesting. But this was my highlight, my takeaway, and it's on our future agenda for the LCAP. But I attended a community engagement practices for board meetings and beyond. And I think that was really enlightening for me of how do we think about who we're serving and how do we hear from them? How do we reach them? How do we get that feedback? And a lot of it was kind of going to where they are. So I'm excited to, take some of that knowledge and see what we can do with it. Anything else? No? Yeah?
Team building,
Yeah.
you hit it.
Right.
Team building.
Yeah. We really, it's unique for this type of team. Like we get together a couple of times a month, but
Yeah.
otherwise we're not day to day, we're
Yeah.
colleagues.
And even,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Even we're not allowed to be together,
Exactly.
all of us
Right.
together. So it's really a special opportunity to have all of us in one room. Talking about normal things, not official business.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for that. All right. We would love to hear about the LCAP.
Okay, well, the LCAP bite tonight is related to goal 1. All students receive equitable, inclusive, culturally responsive, and rigorous high-quality classroom instruction with standard-based curriculum and promotes life, college, and/or career readiness. In our LCAP, falling under goal 1 is 1.6, and that is the middle school mathematics curriculum addition that we brought in. It is associated with iReady. So iReady is a tool that we use for multiple causes, or multiple purposes rather. One is it's an assessment or a diagnostic assessment. In that diagnostic assessment, there's instructional grouping, instructional tools, and there are lessons that are associated with those. And I think I reported to the board on a previous Friday update how those are utilized. This is separate than that. This is actually their math curriculum. And their math curriculum is owned by Curriculum Associates. And there is a digital component and there's like a hard component, just like a regular book. And what we were finding coming out of COVID was CPM, which is our board adopted text, which is college preparatory math, was very, very, very dense. And it didn't have the kind of intervention or mitigation strategies that were built in to the level required for the students entering middle school. And so the middle school teachers were saying, we really want our kids to be able to grasp the concepts of math, but this isn't really doing it. We need some help. And so we brought in iReady as kind of a test. We also had a new math team at the time. So we didn't have any long-term math teachers on our new Brighton staff that were saying, this is what I did before, and this is what I can do now. They were all new teachers. And so what we decided to do was we decided to take a look at, well, what do we already know and have? And then what can we connect to with that knowledge? And what is the team willing to try? And so we looked at the iReady curriculum. Santa Cruz City Schools was doing the same thing at the time, post-COVID, and saying this is something that we're going to try to use. So this is now, kind of our first full year of implementation of iReady. Before it was just kind of a test to see how it would go. And now it's a full implementation in all of our courses that are not our accelerated courses. And what we're finding, especially in 6th grade, as I'm looking at the data, is that our students are engaging in it. They're passing the lessons, they're getting the individualized instruction, they're getting the teacher instruction, and they're spending time on it on their own to build the skills that they were learning from their classroom. So what that says to me is that there's something that's happening that's right. And while we're only in the first 6 months of kind of its use in everyday classrooms, full use in everyday classrooms, the other thing that we can see from kind of forecasting into the future is that there's a math framework that has just been released. I think I spoke to the board a little bit about that earlier in the year, but there's no curriculum yet written to that framework. And so we feel like this is a really good kind of mitigation time, right? This is a time where we can use CPM for those accelerated math classes. We can use iReady math, for our core classes. And we can see the growth because we can see the assessment data like through that portal. If at the end of the time that the framework is adopted and we see curriculum that's been written and we want to do something different after that, we'll bring it to the board. We'll pilot just like we always do. But for right now, I think this is something that's working really well. I think another thing that's working really well for us is that iReady has been really, really great partners in terms of professional learning. So they've taken our math team. They've done, I think, 3 professional developments just with that math team this year. We've carved out some of the PD time for them to calibrate their instruction and their use of the materials, which really helps us, to understand how one classroom isn't going to look completely different from another classroom, and everybody's feeling like they're acting on their own, right? So there's more to see. We're 4 months into kind of this concentrated effort, but I do see some really great progress. And I look forward to kind of reporting out to the board during the next kind of not the baseline assessment, but the next diagnostic assessment to see what kind of growth we see. So that's just the update for tonight.
Great, thank you so much. Questions?
So quick question. So I was talking to Scott we were talking about AI, and it seemed from what I was hearing about, digging into that iReady has an AI component to it. I think what we used to always call that was intuitive, software. But when it tells you, I'm seeing this, you should be doing that. That's an AI function.
Well, I would say even further than that, our California assessment system has a large portion of their assessment that navigates towards the answers you're getting correct.
Right.
Right. So that has been part of assessment systems for a long time.
Yeah.
AI as it exists today is much different than when we first started understanding that that's what our California assessment systems were doing. Right. But I'm glad it's a topic that you brought up because it's actually a topic that we've been talking about in cabinet with some of our teachers, and maybe we'll bring some of that to the board at a future date so we can talk to you about where we are with our staff with that. So, but yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that'd be great. I look forward to hearing that for sure,
I just love hearing about the consistency in different classrooms, right? Sure. On the same page as appropriate.
Yes.
Good to hear about what you're doing with like core and math and, we're just being proactive, I think that's great.
And I think that with the support there for the staff, that's like, that is really the part that's sometimes the hardest and support. Right. So.
Anything else? Would it be all right if we shut that door?
About to-
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it's colder than this.
AC.
It's
Turn it on.
Like I'm a big dude.
Welcome to the end of the day.
Yeah, the end. I mean, man.
Yeah.
All right. I did my time.
Handle that sound.
All right, okay, we good?
Yep.
Okay, all right, thanks for that. The presentation on the new Brighton Middle School field. Oh, comments. Do we have any comments from the audience
On the
on the LCAP bite?
Don't let Jim get started. Nothing on email.
Okay, good. All right. Now moving on to the presentation of the new Brighton Middle School field design.
So I'll just kick these guys off. Thank you for joining us, Ralph LaRue from 196 Architects and an old friend, Jim Dupre, joining us tonight. He's been helping out with some of our projects. Just a quick intro. You know that we've been really trying to communicate in multiple ways to the public that we are preparing to renovate the new Brighton field. We've done that in Superintendent's Town Hall. We've done that in newsletters. We've done that on our website. We've done that at board meetings. We're going to do it again at the community forum. We're going to do it again at future board meetings. We're trying to make sure that the community knows what we're up to and why we're up to it. That's really important to us. A great thing is that we have a longstanding relationship with our architecture partner here, and knows our school, knows our campus well. We've had a great chance to engage with our PE team to get their input. Obviously very critical because not only they're a great instructional team, they're an award-winning PE team that really is looking to round out our facilities. If you think about just in the last several years, we've upgraded our gym. We've added, instead of portables, we have now modern locker rooms that the students change in for PE. We've added a studio and wrestling area. And the last coup de grace will really be that field and a track. And so something that we're very excited about, something that we've targeted the matching funds from our last bond measure to address. And so with that, we've partnered with Ralph's group here to talk about just what that might look like. And the last thing I should say, because I see him on the audience, is besides the PE team, we've also been sure to get our athletic director, Enrique Domo's input because we have so many great award-winning sports teams. And I'm sure he will be very excited to see them participate one day on a beautiful new field. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Ralph.
Well, it's awesome to be here. Takes me back 8 years when I first came before the 2016 bond. And super exciting because this is actually a continuation of some of those ideas of that master plan. Anyway, I'm Ralph LaRue, 196 Architects. Our office is here in Santa Cruz. We're part of a bigger group, and I'll introduce our company just briefly in a bit. So today I'm going to show you that early planning and how it's involved. We'll look at some precedents. We've done some fields in the area, and there's definitely lessons learned with fields. So field technologies improved over time. And we'll take a deeper dive on the field material. I'm going to leave a box of samples with you and white papers in case there's questions from the community on the composition of the field, because that's important. And then we're gonna speak about the athletic program. We've had one meeting. Of course, that's going to develop as we dig into the design. Some site analysis. So we worked with the city and Scott. And then we'll show you a schematic design. It's a starting point. It's not the final design. We hope to refine that in the process. And then I'm part of what we used to call the roadshow, which is awesome. It's great to meet everybody, you know, the athletic department, teachers, and all of you guys. So last time you saw me, I was with Maddie Group. So Maddie Group incorporated with 196 Architects, bigger company. Also do K-12. There's me hugging the limelight in front. And that was a week. We signed papers a week before the COVID lockdown. Crazy. But it was really a seamless change. Functionally in Santa Cruz, we haven't changed. We work with most of the school districts in Santa Cruz. We're doing master plans and fields and every type of K-12 facility. So that collective knowledge is really good for as we embark on all of these projects, including this one. So when we did the 2016 bond, we knew we wanted to get rid of most of the portables and build classrooms, but we did think, well, how does the leftover bits look? You know, how did the field interact with the buildings? And we tried to size a field and the leftover triangle there, and it was really difficult because that field wasn't a standard field. And I think at that time there was a feeling that compromise is fine. You know, the one day when we get funds, we'll build it, but it'll be a compromise. So I just wanted to show you that because what, you know, the concept plan is going to show you how that evolved. So just looking at some precedents, this is, I think, the last field we've done, the most recent field, EA Hall. They had a very tight budget. So we focused on placing the field that they could have a future track around it. So geographically, there's space left over. But right now, they only have a kind of a 12-foot jogging path around. But with their future bond, they'll add that. So as we look at this field and look at our budget, we're going to have to decide what are our priorities, and, you know, depending on how much the budget's shifts, we can adjust. And then your closest neighbor, and I think the closest in terms of the size of the field. So the size that we're proposing is exactly that size. I think it's 395 by 195. It's a size that you can play competitive soccer games on from you know, older, even adults. And then you can practice as well. We wouldn't be doing lights in Shoreline. It was a unique situation because when they did that school and they did the EIR, they said they would do lights. So they addressed the EIR in the mid-90s. That's why that school has lights. You're in the coastal zone. I wouldn't recommend pushing for lights. But very, very similar approach. That one has a jogging track. We're gonna propose a jogging track, but also a 100-yard dash, which is a little bit different. And then so that'll look more like, on the one side of your field will look more like this, which is potentially a different material for the track. And so that's what we'll develop. So in the early 2000s, a lot of consternation with fields, and you know, there was off-gassing. The fields were too hot. These particles, you know, the fields would disintegrate because they were using not a natural material. So what they've done is they use for the underlayment, they're using a cork, straight cork, natural material. Okay. And the composition of it now is also much cooler. The lifetime of the field is extended from 10 to 16 years. They'll roughly give you a warranty for 16 years. SLV just replaced theirs. Theirs lasted 12 years under the old system, and they have a new field now. So what we're saying is the technology has changed. It's healthier, from what I understand. I'm not a scientist, but it's gone through a bunch of tests. And so we'll be able to provide all of that data to anybody who has those technical questions. The surface material itself is recycled. So that's the top surface. It's, you know, it's resilient, heat reduction, I discussed. It's got shock absorption, UV resistance, and it stays clean. It drains really well as well. So they pride this product, PureFill. It's made by a company called FieldTurf, is the one we're recommending. They pride themselves on, you know, the recycled contact that it's green. And they get used kudos. They're used by FIFA around the world for their soccer stadium. So I think they've passed the test in many circumstances. So you'll be getting the best. So let's talk about the athletic program. So this is the first stab at it. There's the soccer field. I got one of the dimensions wrong, but there's listed. And then you got the two practice fields that are perpendicular. We're planning on jogging lanes, 3 lanes, so 3 to 4 lanes. It's still tight, even with you know, potentially additional land. It's still a tight field. And then 100-meter sprint, 5 lanes, possibly 6, with 42 inches per lane. And then we have a separate section, which we're going to show you that the PE department wanted to use for multi-purposes, also volleyball. There's going to be opportunity for bleachers, and then, you know, scoreboard that could be an add-on. The priority was not to have a diamond, but there is space to have one, should you add that in future. So due diligence or sidewalk. So top left, that's Jamie and Scott looking at the access route that the neighbors use, and we're really going to link on in the concept plan. You're going to see how we link that route to provide direct access to the park, but also for the students to the school. So there you can see the top right, the school access. So we're going to have to obviously improve that. And then the bottom left, the berm, you can't really see the extent of it, but fantastic. We had that tested. It's clean soil. I've never, you know, we can use it on site to regrade the site. Normally in Santa Cruz, you get like the soil is terrible, you know, but that's a good soil. And so that I was pretty excited about that. And then solar shades are going to be even more meaningful in this layout, because we're going to really emphasize the shade of it and put some bleachers under them and make it integrated as part of the field. So we came up with this concept. You can see that little side bit intrudes into the park, and so we developed an exhibit where there's potential land swap that's being discussed right now. You can see the bottom rectangle, right, the closest to the DO there. That would be a place where they play the volleyball and multi-sports, and then at the back of the where the bleachers are shown, sort of the gray area that's under the solar array, there would be a straightaway over there. There are some other, there's long jump and high jump that we still have to orchestrate within the layout. So if we look at that in the aerial version, what the school district is telling the city is we want area B, and we'll give you area A and C. Area A on the top provides access to the park, and area B allows us to have a rectangular field, and area C actually rounds out the diamond, the outfield a little better. And so that that hump will definitely at area B be chopped down and graded with the field. And the roadshow started on October the 13th, with the PE athletic department, and always ask them to give a thumbs up if they're happy with the progress so far. And so, so Scott took lots of notes for us, and I think we're off to the races. Excuse the pun. And that's all I have.
So the council meeting is that next year?
No. Oh, well, technically, yes. 2024. Yes.
Oh, that's okay, I was at the 24th. Okay, all right.
I missed, sorry, in the presentation.
Yeah, I thought it was January 24th too.
A very important aspect is we'll be fencing the field. So there'll be a discussion on, you know, where gates should be, what the type of fence is, how high, all of that. So, but the intent is to protect your investment and fence that field.
Are we gonna have to replace the fencing that borders the neighborhood? Okay.
That's great. That answered one of my questions. I know we're talked about putting a fence around it, so there's not covered in dog poop and everything else. The land for the volleyball, right there, how does that coincide with the land that, we're swapping for the city? Is that, can you overlay, go back to the other? I mean,
That one, yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah, so this is, there was an initial ask for sand volleyballs, we decided not to do that. But that's the size of the volleyball court, that layout, and so there was discussion at athletic department. You know, hey, that'd be a great place to do other things as well during PE.
so it's not gonna be sand,
No,
right?
it's gonna be artificial, so.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, the volleyball, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll just, we may use a different color. We'll talk about that too, but this will all be turned out up to the.
And where did you say your vision for the scoreboard would be? Okay.
Sitting, you're sitting on these beaches, looking across.
That's the home team side. Yeah.
It's not feeding the neighborhood either, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People get concerned.
Yeah, and I was curious if that was gonna get in the way of if we did a baseball diamond in the future, how, you know, but it looks like, it doesn't look like that would impede
Yes.
the baseball or,
So if you did do it, so there was talk about rotating and the back.
if we put in
Yeah.
a baseball diamond?
But it was really not the priority of the school to have that, since you have it, you know, in the public, right?
I'm just trying to think
Yeah.
5 years ahead
Yes.
and making sure we don't have to fix anything later.
Yes, but that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
It's adaptable, but the space will be there. Of course, if you rotate that diamond, you may have to put some netting up. The flagpoles, fine.
So, yeah, right? Yeah, these kids hit a mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so it would look, so it may, which is completely doable, some netting, yeah.
Okay. And would a baseball hurt? And I think we've asked this before too, but the solar panels, if something like a baseball or something hit the solar panels, I'm assuming by that diagram, if the baseball diamond's in that kind of like top left, then they're hitting the ball into the school or onto where the solar panels would be.
Yes, so, you know, it was considered a practice field, that is 300 or 200 feet.
I think to answer your question, it wouldn't help a baseball hitting school.
Yeah.
But the.
Thanks for the clarification. Really appreciate your input.
Yeah, but the thought is that it's a practice field. It's not gonna be for gameplay. They're not gonna be dugouts.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And so.
And we haven't talked about baseball and this is all
Right.
in the future. I mean, I love what you guys have done. This whole baseball thing
Yeah.
is just, you know, since you put up the diamond,
Yeah.
I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you know?
It was the lowest of the low priorities of the PE team, only because there's so many other opportunities right next door at Monterey Park and elsewhere in the community compared to soccer fields.
Right, for sure. And then Monterey Park.
So we've just done building and SLB, the back of the high school baseball field, and we had to put up netting to protect the school district, and you don't even notice it. It's fine mesh just to slow that ball down.
Right. You guys did SLV?
Yes.
Oh, that's you guys did a phenomenal job there. Their facilities are terrific. Yes.
I was just wondering about the volleyball courts was, what was the evolution of that? It sounds like it changed a bit. So what, And I guess nobody, we talked about a garden. I mean, that was crazy, but I mean, I guess we're talking about PE right now. So
Well, but
volleyball, tell me about that.
that's included in this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a
So-
question about that.
So
Okay.
I'll tell you the evolution of that discussion. There was one teacher wanted sand volleyball. The teacher wanted multi-use space. So the compromise of the team was to have sleeves in the ground with an artificial surface so they could still play volleyball, but not sand volleyball.
Yeah.
Just Cross volleyball, basically.
And would it be kind of caged in? Is that the
Yes,
image?
yeah. So it's all fenced. So that little compound would be fenced as well.
Okay.
What's the multi-purpose? Like what else what other, I'm curious, what else did you guys throw out to do there?
Middle school games.
There goes the thing.
Pickleball.
Ah!
Okay. On grass, so it's like Wimbledon, all right, doable.
Anything with a net that you could cross, you could put across there.
Yeah. That's smart, yeah, okay. I can see that.
So, okay, go ahead.
Sorry, mine's about community engagement. I appreciate the roadshow, and it might be more of a question for Scott, but just thinking about how close some of the neighbors are to this and what can we do? There is some lingering maybe disinformation about turf fields and it's like 20 years old, right? But or 15 years old, but I think for folks who might not have kids who are playing sports now, right? Different generations, just what can we do to reach out to neighbors and invite them, for example, to the community forum or some kind of special town hall on the issue so that they can get the good information before it turns into whoa, you broke ground and we didn't know.
I'd say a combination of old fashioned and new fashioned. We
Okay.
can go door to door and we can do next door app and just try to get the word out there. No
That's a good
surprises.
idea.
Yeah. And hopefully, I mean, it sounds like the PE team and the whole athletic
Yeah.
team is pretty excited about it, so.
So
hearing
we'll have
from them,
some
I think-
samples they can touch. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not rubber, you
Mhm.
know, it's not
Yeah.
just rubber that's gonna be off gassing.
Yeah.
You're right, that's.
Yeah. I was
So- Yeah.
really excited to read about the cork material. I
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
to play soccer in
Yes.
adult leagues, but you get it in your socks and then you
Mhm.
bring it home. And then I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
you're carrying it around town and
And
so it's,
Well,
keeps
turf
its
hurts.
shape.
Old school turf hurts when you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, and it
Yeah.
hurts, yeah,
Leaves a good burn.
yeah.
So on the outreach, did the Little League community sign off on losing their practice fields already?
I will talk to Little League as this conversation continues.
Oh, so they don't know they're losing them?
So technically right now, I guess the answer to that would be no.
Oh, okay.
But I will say we have a really good relationship with Little League. There are other opportunities at other facilities in our district that we can work with them on. So you kind of laughed at me, so I will just say that question has been considered and not ignored, even though it hasn't happened yet. And I'm sorry.
Okay. And then another question, when we changed the plan from a 2-story classroom building to 1-story and destroyed the greenhouse and garden, the promise was that those were going to come back, but I don't see them on here.
That is dedicated athletic field.
Well, it's a school
Yeah.
I'm
field.
going back to some old brain stuff here, but it's
Yeah.
coming forward. So, this classroom that was built right here was somewhat developed as a science classroom.
Uh-huh.
And what makes a science class, it's got a couple of sinks instead of just one, so cleaning up at the end of the class day, it takes less time. It's also got a back door, which none of these, and it leads to an opening back here that is mostly dirt. And that was always envisioned as being the garden.
No, see, actually,
And it has not come to fruition, but
so actually,
that was always the area that was gonna be put to. site
but that
garden.
building wasn't there and it was a 2-story building. And in order to change it from a 2-story building to 1-story buildings, we had to give up the garden with the promise it would come back.
Right, we did lose some space because we stayed lower. We saved some money though, however, which was good. And there is still space for a garden,
A greenhouse and garden.
yes.
And so will that be drawn in here?
I don't think that project is part of this project.
Oh,
It did.
okay.
This, I mean, again, I'm still a newcomer here, but that's my thought. I mean, we always wanted, I mean,
Yeah.
Ralph knows and Scott knows as much as anything, there was no bigger proponent of school gardens than me. And so that was always, because we never wanted to eliminate a garden, especially at a junior high.
Well, where those multi-purpose fields are they're a higher priority, I guess?
Yeah, I wasn't involved in those conversations.
Okay.
Can I say one thing? Sorry. to interrupt. Ms. Trimble, you're familiar with the garden that I just rebuilt during the summertime, right? Is that the same?
I think that's all part of an attempt to answer the question, so,
Right.
you know.
Yeah,
not-
section 20.
Mhm.
You know, last summer, took out all the dirt, fixed everything inside.
That's it.
Yeah, but isn't that the box for Mr.
Yes,
Deferral
so-
that you?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. So I think the big point is like these two things don't have to be mutually exclusive, right? There's
Yeah, okay.
all sorts of garden.
I mean, I don't
No,
see
I'm
it
gonna
on
pause because each time I try to answer, you laugh at me.
I don't
So I don't
see it
think
on
that's
there.
very, I don't think it's respectful, so I'm gonna pause my answer and just,
Okay.
you go forward.
So I think you guys are going to talk about master planning next, and that's a kind of a continuation from the previous master plan. So if there's missing or evolution of that master plan, that's going to be in the next master plan. But also with gardens, you need a champion at the site, and there's a space for it, right? There's a space as Joan described for a garden. Needs a champion.
Do you mind if and I don't know if I'm coded, where's the box that?
The planter box?
Yes, sir.
20 swing.
Is it between the 10 and no, it's between the 20 and the 30 wing. So it would be,
Yeah.
man, this is old memory stuff here.
I'm
Thanks for having it in there.
Brand-
It's right in here. It's a
Brand-
raised box that's kind of in a U shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's Andy's class called?
Healthy living.
Healthy living. So it was an addition to healthy living, so he could grow vegetables that he cooked and stuff like that, but it wasn't a school garden. But it is a very nice planter box that can accommodate a lot of
Like
planting.
I have to stand in.
Yeah, it's
all the
not,
dirt.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like
Oh,
2
wow.
weeks, I
Yeah,
dug
it's a
out
big
all the
box.
dirt, put new wood in there. New gopher wire, because those gophers ate through the gopher wire that was there the first time, which I didn't know they could do that. So we redid it, put new gopher wire there, brand new dirt. And I think they're just waiting on a sprinkler system, but we're working on a groundskeeper, sorry about that. So once that is all taken care of, it's beautiful.
The original box was built in like 2018, summer of.
Oh, this is pretty recent,
By
sounds like.
myself, by me.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Mr. Dolman.
Oh,
Yeah.
I helped.
So back to the field. The track there will be able to host track meets
No.
because it has the sprint,
Well,
you know, lane there, whatever we call
there's
it.
a few things you have to do. You need
Right.
a jump, you need a high jump. you
That's
need
in
a-
here though, isn't it?
You need
Yeah,
a
long jump, pit, high jump.
long jump.
We've got all that.
Yeah, it's other.
Yeah, but that's track is not an oval. You have to
Right,
have an
right.
oval For a track, it can't be
Why do you need an oval to
There's
have
no
a track?
400 meters.
Right.
Yeah.
800, 400, 1600.
If you just measure it out, you just need a distance. It doesn't have to be in a particular shape, does it?
No, yeah, track.
Yeah, for middle school,
They're
you
not
know.
gonna go for that.
Yeah.
They're not
Yeah,
gonna-
no, yeah.
No, and I'm
Yeah.
curious. I'm asking the question.
No, it's a good question.
Yeah.
You can't
That,
have
I
a,
don't know.
Mr. Trimble would have a million complaints
Mm.
from somebody. It doesn't, it's just not, it's just like you can't have a football field that's a triangle, right?
But the exciting thing is that the team will have a chance to practice
Oh,
there.
yeah, we won't have to go to Southern
Right.
High.
Right, right.
Be there.
That's
with
the big
people
step
that
up.
Do the discus, you know, the high schoolers.
Right.
Because those things were, you know, they can take your neck
Oh,
off.
Yeah.
Put in their plane track. So it's just better if we have our own, so we can practice here on the field instead of using the blacktop. Just be able to use it.
It's better for kids.
Yeah, definitely.
And their little bones and joints and
Yeah, but 100
everything.
meters, that would be, that's like the biggest, one of the biggest, events.
Okay.
And did we have like triple the amount of kids come out for track than any other sport or something like that? Like, wasn't everybody?
It's pretty high, but SOV, Mission Hill, they all, but yeah, we do pretty well in, track. We also
Yeah.
have bigger numbers than.
Mhm.
as well, too. So when it's a non-cut sport, you get a lot more.
Right,
players.
for sure. Yeah, right.
Now, why is the track not oval?
around the field. It just won't fit.
This one?
Yeah,
Well, the design.
Not even close.
okay.
We did that study years ago, and we would have taken a small area
That's fine.
and we would have.
Okay, that's right. Okay,
Because
that's right.
the previous,
All right.
Yeah.
because the version in the master plan had an oval, but it was really small, right?
Yeah, it was small.
So we give
Substantial.
it
That's
a
right.
size.
Okay, that's, yeah, I kind of remember too. Okay.
Shoreline, not an oval, they actually have a hill
Yeah.
on there, can't use that either, Mr. Robert.
Oh, it's shoreline, wow, okay.
Yeah, Shoreline's also too
So our
small.
only opportunity for track meets in this area is really SLB?
They've been doing it for years and they got,
Yeah.
they do a good job. A lot of work as well too.
Yeah, I went to a bunch of them.
Like you said, our
But so
students,
much,
yeah, our
yeah.
students could practice here.
For
We don't
sure.
have to go up to SoCal.
Or
Yeah.
it also would be used for the athletics for, 3/4 of the year too, for 2 quarters of soccer for boys and girls, and then the third quarter would be for flag football, which is now girls as well too.
Yeah, that's
Right.
great.
And then
Yeah.
fourth quarter would be track, so yeah, it would definitely be utilized.
And you said that the soccer field size was the same as the New Brighton field? I thought that was maybe bigger than we were thinking, or Shoreline, I'm sorry, not New, yes, I'm sorry,
It's
Shoreline.
exactly the same.
I think
What-
it's the same-
Was it bigger than we had thought? Weren't we talking?
I don't know how big it was originally, but I know the numbers you said it was like a professional.
Adult.
No, it wasn't
Wow.
professional.
No,
Oh, adult.
it could get bigger. It's big enough where adult league would play on that.
Sure.
Oh,
Yes.
And it's,
Yeah.
Our field.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, rent it out.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, Shoreline's really big.
Yeah.
And that's 2 practice fields or 1 adult field? Is that how
Both.
that looks?
Both.
Both. Oh, yeah, that's
So
great.
obviously not at the same time, but.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so little fields that you can see the goals.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
Simple question, what is the field, the turf part cost? Roughly.
That's great. I can tell you almost exactly, because I got a quote.
Oh.
But it's not a real quote yet because they didn't account for this change in material.
Well,
So
that's
without-
fine.
But just for, it's about 1.1 million just for the field.
Okay,
Without improvements.
Right.
For the drainage and the grading and all of that,
okay,
which you can add another 2x for that, so.
yeah,
Is that including the track itself?
No, so I still
the
have
field.
to account for the track,
Okay.
because they gave me the quote in the same material, but we want the better material. And that's the one compromise we made at Shoreline for budgetary reasons. That's all the same material.
so,
So
As
the
far as the
is-
track goes, did you have help from Wharf to Wharf?
oh, that was a long time
funding?
ago.
No, they still fund, they
Yeah.
still fund tracks. Wharf to Wharf.
We
we
could
could
definitely see
ask-
if we can
yeah,
partner with them,
okay.
yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, the Shoreline field was a local donor.
Okay.
So at the 1.1 and 16-year life, we would need to put 69K a year aside so that we could, after 16 years, then replace it.
Yeah, it would,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be something, it would be a resolution we'd bring to the board, the correct amount we need to set aside, and each year we just put that.
So that go into the facility fund or the general fund reserve?
It'd be a facilities.
Yeah, okay.
Do schools or ever consider putting water tanks under to kind of collect water for watering purposes? Is that ever a way to maximize
We
projects?
have not done that.
You've never done that? That's not really,
It's
okay.
possible, but
yeah,
we're normally trying to, because in a heavy rain event, we're trying to get it off and out. But you can always, that would be quite an upcharge, I think, to collect water.
yeah,
And in California, it's boom or bust, right? We get a lot of rain or it's dry
Yeah.
for months.
yeah.
So it's tough. How do you'd have to store a lot of water. So that'd be a budget killer, I think.
Yeah, but there must be, in terms of drainage.
Yes.
What, can you tell us about the drainage under the field? What, is that pipes moving water?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so So part of the assembly's got little corrugations in that persuade the water to get to a pipe, and then we take it all to the
Oh,
outside and
yeah.
then link it all up
Okay,
and then get it into a drain, or there might even have to be a retention pond. I'm not sure yet. We haven't done the engineering.
oh,
Yeah.
I mean, the salt air and water and everything around here kind of ruins everything. How does the salt air being so close to the ocean affect the field, or does it?
I don't think it does.
Hmm.
But I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Because there's
Yeah,
no
we painted
metal,
the
there's
house
no
every couple of
metal.
Years, kind of deteriorates everything pretty quickly. And if
You,
live real
you
close
know,
to
you
the
don't,
ocean,
you
that's
don't
all-
have the sun beating down like you would if you did this field inland. I think it's fairly forgiving for that type of material.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hats off for shoehorning all that stuff in there.
Yeah, yeah. It's on its way. We'll
Yeah.
be doing
Yeah,
some-
great.
One of the points that hasn't been talked about, but I think we all know it, is that the field as it stands today is almost not useful.
Well,
It
exactly,
is
yeah.
so unlevel, with so many gopher holes.
Yeah.
It's a danger to our kids. It's a danger to our staff.
Mhm.
And so you've got to do something. And this is the best thing to do. And now how you do it and how you arrange it is a community discussion. But doing it is kind of just something you have to do. And one smart man told me one time, every kid in this district ends up at that school. And that's why you start here.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for
you keep
sure.
going.
And we are the best middle school in town.
We're gonna have the best track and field.
That's
They,
And you use less water as well because it's artificial too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It's cooler, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just,
Exciting.
I wanted
Oh,
to
yeah.
thank you guys for, the roadshow, for taking it around to the community and sharing your expertise, and that's just so very much, how we want to run this project, so.
Yeah,
you.
that's one of Callie's big initiatives, and I think we're all really on board with that, is making sure the community involvement and, we get approval from everybody, and I don't know about asking them their opinion on how to design it. I think we should just tell them how we're gonna design it and then let them know, but yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, put a Scott calls and I'll
Yeah,
say
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Great.
No, it's exciting.
Any other questions?
So Enrique, how many of our alumni were on the football team at SoCal?
A lot.
Yeah, so it made up the team?
Huh?
Did it make up the team?
I think I would have to say at least 90%.
Wow.
They've had some transfers over from Santa Cruz High and SLP, but a lot of those names that you would hear, can I say names?
Yeah, definitely.
Escalante.
Uh-huh.
I think he's a sophomore and he's playing on the varsity team. Justice, he was on there, Jordan. They're all.
Wow.
Cassius.
New brand.
Yeah.
So when we have a field like this, we could bring out more all-star athletes,
Well,
right?
it depends, like, what is the logo gonna look like in the middle? What color is the grass gonna be?
What colors would you like?
Are we, I'm purple and gold.
There you go, yeah.
The department doesn't like that, but, what is the logo we gonna do in the middle?
Yeah.
Is it gonna say gonna be a mess? Is it gonna say Vikings? Is it gonna be a helmet?
Oh, I
Those
will
are
add.
all things that are very important.
I think it's great.
We have the ability to line the field how we want. We can go out there and, yeah,
He knows, yeah.
any color.
yeah,
There's a
okay.
bunch of.
So
Mine's
the
gotta be purple.
logo in the center of the gymnasium, you know who designed that?
Yeah.
There it is.
With help.
With a little help, yes. But you got them started.
With the scoreboard,
Yeah,
that'd
got 'em
be
started.
great. That needs to have a logo on it too. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I love your comment. It needs a champion. We've got a lot of great champions here for a lot of different projects, for sure.
All right, any other questions or comments or? No? All right, thank you so much. for that
Thanks a lot.
presentation. Yeah, question, opening it to the audience.
When's the ending?
End date?
Next
Not
week.
the start.
We still have a ways to go.
Still in the middle of the night,
The
you'll say.
Community input.
What does ways mean?
Well, we still need to get some input. This still hasn't been officially approved by the board, so.
2027.
I would say let's take this one step further, because tonight was just an information item. In the future, we'll possibly have an action item related to this, and maybe at that time we can have a little bit more of a rough timeline. Does that sound fair? Okay.
That's a very political answer. I love that.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ralph.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
All right.
With an emails.
Oh. do we-
Nothing on email.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay, okay, good. Moving on, yeah, are we good? Okay, moving on to action items. So, consider approval of the architectural proposal for the master facility.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Oh,
Sorry.
wait, just,
So these are disconnected items technically, just
Oh.
FYI, so this item is business.
Nailed it.
Yeah, right? Let's go. Anybody else feeling it?
Let's get shoveling.
I love the enthusiasm.
We're the scissors.
I got the big scissors.
Again, I would like to bring back Ralph LaRue for the facilities master plan. He partnered with us with our 2016 bond measure. And we, as we stated before, we removed a lot of portables and brought in permanent buildings to create great collaborative spaces for our students. We want to continue that and bring in more amazing learning spaces for our students. And with that, I will go ahead and let Ralph.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, so currently finishing off Live Oak School District master plan, and they're actually on the ballot for March next year. Summing up costs, I know that I've worked with that school district for 23 years, so I know their facilities really well. I know your facilities well too. Last 8 years, the focus of 2016 bond was replace all the portables and build new classrooms. Really, it was the focus. We did look at other buildings, so I'm familiar with the sites. What we're proposing in this proposal is an extensive process where we consider everything from master planning, field improvements at other sites, workforce housing possibilities, analysis of different sites for that possibility for the future. We'll align our master planning with state funding opportunities. When you consider the TK funding available and modernization funding, which is related to the AGU building. And so the vision there is that every site will go through the analysis. We'll collate each building. I mean, when was it built? What's the condition of it? We'll meet with teachers or anybody will speak to us to describe the curriculum. Does your space work for that teaching program or not? What other spaces do you want? How can we make your existing spaces more efficient? So that's an exhaustive process. We'll touch every part of your built environment and provide you with the analysis for that. We'll look at possible, provisions for district office, maintenance facility. So everything. So that's, I lined up the schedule for roughly, if you're considering a bond in November 24, roughly a nine-month process. So be dogmatic. We'll go through the 3 stages that's listed in the proposal there. We'll start with the evaluation, and then we'll start meeting with a steering group or stakeholder group, probably in this room, and go look at options. We'll build it together, and then we'll estimate all of those options, and we'll discuss what your priorities are. How do we pick the best option? So we'll agree on a prioritization matrix, and then estimate the cost of the prioritized list. And then that becomes a blueprint, should your bond pass, for your project. So then you'll see your cash flow for, say, well, you want to run 5 years, you want to spend it all, we'll account for escalation and do the build out based on that priorities. So that's what I propose. Some of the team members that'll be with me, I'm familiar with your facilities. Andrew Fullerton, who's done project management on a lot of your projects, he knows your facilities as well as the staff. Jim will be around, doesn't work for us, but will work with us. And then several, I have 15 staff members that report to me, so I have good resources on that. But you'll always be engaging with key members, me and Andrew, probably through the design process. Did I try to condense the master plan?
I knew I should have gone to CSBA, not bonds.
Couple questions.
Yeah.
So on the assessment part,
Yeah.
so are you going to determine excess capacity too?
Yeah, so we'll probably, we need to look at your how many students you have and look at trends,
Right.
demographics. Yeah.
And then I love your list of the things you're going to talk about, but I didn't see sustainability on there. So backup power battery thing, maybe a cistern for rainwater harvesting.
Yeah.
Would you include those? Those are big projects.
Yes. Everything you're talking about, even like maybe AI, how's that going to change the classroom? That's going to come out in our workshops.
Oh, okay.
In terms of formulating if we don't tell you what you want, we work with school district and absorbed and provide some direction, but we'll be doing a lot of listening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you collaborate with other school districts and things like that to see what they're doing, what the latest technology is, there's a lot of things that are out there. I probably have no idea. Maybe most of us don't.
So I will go to every cash conference. So the one's coming up in February, in Coalition for Adequate School Housing. It's in
Okay.
it's in Sacramento. They have workshops probably very similar to the ones you've just gone through, maybe more facility based. We do work with, I think, all of the 8 school districts? I'm in this area, but I work with every school district here in the Bay Area. I work with school districts to almost every project type I worked on.
And is this all really contingent upon that bond? You mentioned a bond, getting a bond of.
I would just say on that, if I can answer that. So our goal with this is to set the priorities, get input from our staff and community on what we want. The revenue streams we develop will be up to the board, and we'll be talking about that more specifically in January.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And lift rises to the top,
Yeah. Well, sorry. When we did this in 2016, it felt like, and I might be misremembering, we had a little bit maybe of a more compressed timeline. So the master planning did not seem as extensive as what you're offering here.
Yes.
This to me sounds like
It was
master planning with a long range vision.
Yes,
right?
that was done in about three months before everybody voted, and then we refined it after another 2 months. So it was really a compressed schedule.
Right.
So there's no master planning book or anything. There's no document. There'd be more of a document, because we'll be more sober about it, be able to go through every step the way it should be.
What I really like about that is then regardless of what happens funding wise and whether something happens in November 2024 or in the future, this is a guidebook. This is, this is a lot of, I think, information and
So we're doing Pajaro's master plan, but 30 sites, and just like they'll pick away at it. Oh, that's a good idea. We have some money. Let's do some of that now. And then so it's truly a living document in our process with them.
I chip in on that too. I mean, Amanda, you and everybody who's here our needs were so glaring in 2016. They were so obvious,
Yeah.
right? You know, we had 37 portables over 35 years old that were just failing our students. And that's what every nickel we had to go into. Yeah, we had a couple nickels to do a few other things. Now our needs are not as glaring, but they're still as big. They're just a little more embedded. Old classrooms that when you walk into that one and you walk into the new one, you went, oh my gosh, you know, those kinds of things. So they're not as like, oh wow, but they're still as strong and they're still as needed to be taken care of.
So
And that's why this master planning may be a little more intense than the last one, because the last one was like, knock those portables down, double classrooms. Okay, we're off. Let's go. That's our master plan.
Check, got it.
So that was a board committee. And there were 2 board members that were on that committee right from the start.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You mentioned I'm sorry to,
Go ahead.
you mentioned this is a living document. So, I mean, we just come across an issue with the solar, thing where we figured out a tree was in the wrong spot and we had to pay a ridiculous amount of money to move everything around and fix the tree, like in a matter of months after the thing got done. Is this something that we can come to you and you'll be there for a year and you'll be able to make revisions on this? Or are we gonna have to pay another $100,000 in 2025 if we want to change something?
No, we can make revisions, but actually the best test of a master plan is if your staff have it. They have more like a deferred maintenance plan.
Yeah.
So, your roof is 20 years, so I know I need to replace it in 2030. And so it becomes more of a tool that the district owns. But of course, we're around, we can update your plan. 100,000, it's, 20 each, we'll definitely be spending that. It'll be an intensive exercise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a big honeydew list.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
that's what it is.
and honestly, like how do you live life without a honeydew list?
I don't.
Right. I mean, yes, dear. Yeah.
I don't know, it's
And I-
on fire, but.
And I do remember looking at the portables that you and Harley drug me out to point to a corner of a building that was gone.
Us out there.
It was, no, it was gone. And so that's when I say you guys have to go talk to the parents.
Yeah. Well, it was the easiest presentation I ever did to prove that why we needed a board. I mean, it took me 20 minutes to walk around and take pictures of the board.
Yeah.
And show them to you guys. Everybody's like, oh my gosh.
So I think
Tell the students, don't drop a pencil because you'll chase it for 15 feet across the floor.
So you take some pictures of those mole holes out there.
Exactly.
Everybody will get it.
I mean, we still have classrooms in SoCal that have damage from the 89 earthquake, cracks in the old stucco and cabinetry that has 25 coats of paint on it. The doors don't close, cloakrooms that are great. They have cloakrooms, but are there better ways to use that space? Where right now it's just kind of a catch-all for stuff, so, I mean, that's just one part of one school. We have school offices that can be redesigned to be much safer for staff and students. New Brighton is it's a relatively new building, but parents have to come into the class, into the campus to get into the office. That's not the way offices are built anymore. So just even doing that minor, and that's like a pick away thing. It's not a huge deal. Let's close a door and open a door so we can contain our campus and people don't have to come onto campus to exit, to ask a question in the office.
Security,
security stuff.
Right.
I mean.
So weird now that you say it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I've been on the campus a million times, never once thought about it.
Thought about it every day when I worked here.
Yeah. Wow. Right on.
Yeah.
And what was there before was, oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
And
this
what
was
was-
one of the ones that was here
Yeah.
before.
When was the last time we did a master plan? You said 2016 or?
Yeah. And then before that, it was just a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
The 2016 version was like a.
That our facilities people would say, we need this stuff, and once a year we'd look at it and is there money in the cookie jar? No.
And now that you got to figure out how to protect it.
Right.
Make it last.
That's why this turf would be good because you don't have to go every year and try to smooth out the natural stuff from the the pests that are
I
out
can't
there.
tell you how many times I had to pay thousands of dollars to get loads of dirt
Yeah,
brought in, so Donnie could spread it out and throw some seed down there just so some gopher could eat it,
right.
Mhm.
you know. Just to make it so it was more.
Yeah, natural turf, repair lasts
Yeah.
about 5 years, and you have to do it again. Yeah.
Is there gopher wire under that natural turf? I mean, I'm sure they're not interested, but maybe they go.
Yeah, so we do we've been out to
Gopher
do
wire.
natural turf and we put wire and
Yeah, there's so many gophers here.
hard compaction, all of that, but it still fails.
Yeah.
So just a shoot from the hip question. What is it, how long does it take to put one of those down?
Put one of what down.
It's responsible.
No, I mean, just, here
It's all the prep, so
Right.
construction is prep. So the what's gonna be out there, the field's gonna be fenced and it's gonna be grading and drainage for I don't know, 4 to 6 months, and the actual surfacing goes on fairly quickly.
Construction and
Yeah.
schools don't go well together.
But you don't have
I just
to,
don't.
We
But
can't finish it over a summer.
the site prep,
It's not a summer project.
you don't have to go very deep for the site prep, like a building, right?
No, but it's gonna be inconvenient for the staff.
Right.
It's just the way it is, but it's gonna be highly inconvenient for the PE department, but now at least they've got a couple of rooms to use and a pretty good blacktop area and a really nice gymnasium.
And
But they won't have any outside space for a while.
Right.
And it's gonna be loud and it's gonna be dusty, but
Right.
that's just the way it goes, and so it's not a summer project.
Right.
But it is something that can happen while staff is here.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? Do we have any public comments or questions? No. And Mr. Dolma, no. Anything on email?
Nothing on email.
Okay,
Good.
would someone like to make a motion?
I'm a,
Okay, do I have a
I'll
second?
second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right,
See you back.
the motion
Good
passes.
to be back. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just, you should bring him to all your meetings.
It's the Dodger bench.
That's right.
Dream team. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
All
Thank you for your time.
right, thank you.
Carries this.
Oh.
Send her our best.
Oh, wonderful, great.
Did you go to recess?
Choices.
No,
Oh, okay.
Nope.
we did a stretch.
Oh, right. Not an official one.
No, I just.
Okay, all right.
And I had to stretch.
All right, the first interim report.
I need the clicker.
Oh,
Sorry.
Super cool logo. I didn't notice that when did you do that?
Oh,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
wow,
love it.
Oh, hey.
Cool.
that's very cool.
Yeah, so each one of our schools is in one of the letters.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's awesome.
So much talent. I'm seeing our new sweatshirt.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Thank you. Should I wait for Ted?
I say we start.
Yes.
Family county.
All right, let's get into it. So thank you for being here. And so this is our 23-24 first. So I like to start with going over MIP projections for current year and the 2-out years. So for this year, our COLA is 8.22%. Going into 24-25, that's our year in question, right? So as of right now, we don't know exactly where it's going to land. We know the state deficit is huge. And, we have the projection of, it could be 0.5, it could be up to 1.5%. But again, it's still an estimate. There's nothing, set in stone. So until we get really to hear the governor's proposed budget in January, we'll have more information, and that'll kind of help us going into second interim and so forth. So for 24-25, the LCFF calculator is still showing 3.94% as a COLA. And for 25-26, it's showing the 3.19% COLA. So what I did for 24-25, I left the COLA at 3.94. However, in the assigned area in SACs. I put the difference of 3.94 and 1.5% in assigned. So 420,000 would be the difference in assigned. I also, in assigned for 24-25, I added the 200,000 for text adoption that we had discussed before, and I noticed it was in the budget in previous years, so I kept that static there.
I guess I'm so sorry. Is there a page number that we could be looking at with any of
It
this?
is,
And wait here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know, tell the page on this.
Okay.
Did you shrink it, maybe?
Oh, 215.
So I was just kind of.
250.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So then with that, I like to talk about the ADA. We're still on the 3-year rolling average. So the 3-year rolling average for us this year is 1,638.32. And we'll also see the 3-year average in 24-25 and 25-26. Now, with that being said, as enrollment has been declining and ADA has been decreasing, as we get into that 3rd year out, we're really going to start seeing the effects of the lower 3-year average. As of, this year, we're still seeing a pretty good average. Next year, it kind of fades down a little further and so forth. On the next slide, it kind of shows the difference of previous years. For step and column, I use 1.5%. Going out to the 24-25 and 25-26, that's usually standard. And I went in and I calculated it to make sure that's what we come out to. We're slightly under, but 1.5% to be safe. CalSTRS will be remaining flat at 19.1% in all 3 years. PERS is the area that we always see a slight increase, 27.7% for 24-25. And 28.3% in 25-26. So we're going up slightly. So in the out years, due to ESSER funds being fully expended, we will definitely have to be reducing our expenditures, supplies, contracts and so forth will drop. And that you'll see that noted when I get to the slides as far as expenditures go. We have seen an increased cost in SPED, as well as a reduction in SPED funding from the SELPA at first interim. The projection came in about $300,000 less than what they originally projected. However, it's first interim. As we get into second interim and unaudited actual, that usually changes as they don't have as many students that needed the services on the SELPA side of the house. So we'll expect to see a slight increase in that as we get closer to year end. And then again, books and supplies, we've seen a slight increase there. And you'll notice the decrease in revenue in 23-24. We have about 1.7 million in federal revenue, and then you'll notice in 24-25 and 25-26 it's about 700,000, and that's due to ESSER funding. It has to be fully expended. What we have remaining in September of 24, so it's good to estimate that this year will pretty much be the last year of the ESSER funding. Prop 28 we should be receiving in the spring, so we are excited to develop a plan, bring it to the board, and approve something going forward for all of our great like arts and so forth that we want to continue. And still, and again, this is when it's going to be ongoing funds. It's going to be about 224,000 that we should be receiving, and it's going to be ongoing funds. So that is a plus to that program. And you have to do. I can't remember both. Okay. So this is ADA to enrollment. The top numbers are enrollment. The bottom numbers is actual ADA, except for 23-24, that's estimated. So that's what we currently have estimated. But you can notice the decrease of enrollment in ADA for the past 4 years. You'll see that even from 22-23 to 23-24, we're down 101 students. So we had 1660 And for 22-23, and this year we have 1559. So that's quite a big decrease. You know, we saw a pretty decent decrease in 2021 and 21-22, not as large as we saw going into this year, though.
What's your projection moving forward? Is it losing 100 students a year or? Is it
No,
more?
no, I think we're still gonna be in declining. So I estimate like about 10 to 15. That's
Oh.
what the estimate was before. We shouldn't see as large of a drop going into next year, since we saw such a big one this year.
Is some of that due to the size of the class leaving New Brighton, and then like number of eighth graders leaving? So if there's a particularly large class in eighth grade,
Yes.
and then fewer
Yes.
youngers coming in.
Yes, because there was a large eighth grade class last year.
So what percent did you use for going forward? Because it looks like 6% drop over last year, right?
So you're talking ADA percentage?
No, I'm talking about enrollment.
So well, as of right now, in 23-24, it's actual numbers. So for enrollment, the ADA is what is what's an estimate. Yeah, so it's 101 students. I didn't figure out what the percentage was for enrollment, since I have the exact number.
Right.
But as far as ADA, the 80 percentage for ADA, I use 92.7%, which is still lower than pre-pandemic. It's higher than last year. Last year we came in at about 89, a little over 89%.
Right.
This year, though, Scott does a great job of sending us our enrollment percentage. And when we checked yesterday, our cumulative enrollment from August 9th, first day of school, until yesterday was right under 94, is like 93.8%.
But see, that's a function of enrollment, right? So my question was that, did you take the enrollment down 6% for next year?
So no, I just took an average. So I went by what was projected previously in the LCFF calculator, and I kind of used that to continue to go forward. I took into consideration, of course, this year. However, and again, not expecting to see as big as a decrease in the next year's out, because that was a huge decrease going into this year. Okay, so this slide right here shows you projected revenue with combined unrestricted and restricted for current year, and then projected for the out years. You'll see the total projected revenue is about almost right under 24 million for this year, goes right under 22 million next year, and a little lower for 24, 20 or 25, 26. LCFF is dropping due to the decreased enrollment this year, and then as well as the ADA. So that coupled together, since the ADA is a lot lower, since enrollment was a lot lower this year, the percentage for ADA going forward is going to be less. So therefore, it's going to drop our LCF funding for the 2 out years as well.
And you feel us losing $2 million in revenue, that's sustainable with the cuts that you suggested earlier?
Yeah, and we'll review them again as well, and go for, like, we'll keep looking at them and making sure that it's sustainable.
Okay, we won't have to do anything with staff, right?
Staffing, so by attrition, so if we have less enrollment, I know we would have to definitely decrease and, you know, have larger class sizes and so forth. So
is the COE going to be okay with those COLA numbers?
yes,
Because the new official number of 1% is not out yet.
it's technically not official. It's estimated, and there's a range. So it's like 1.5.
But it'll be official in January because the governor will put it out.
He's gonna have his proposed budget that will come out. And yeah, the COE is saying basically you can leave the 3.94 in there, make sure you assign the difference in dollars. And that's what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
And who has access to this report? Does this go out to all the staff and everything, or is this just kind of our internal?
This is attached to board, in the board docs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just,
It's public.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, sorry.
No, and I'm just concerned, because we reported in the fiscal prioritization meeting, and then if people and staff or something like that looks at this and they read this, and they're gonna think, oh gosh, we've got a 4% COLA next year, so we should be getting this and we should be asking for this, and I just want to make sure we have the most accurate, up-to-date information that's going to go out to the public, so our expectations are managed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. We talk about, these talking points every avenue we have, whether it's
With
with
all
the
the stuff.
prioritization
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to the unions,
Yeah.
everywhere, we share this information so everybody's up to date. And then, of course, negotiations for this year, we're already, at a TA level, right? So anything else will be for future years.
Okay.
Yeah, and I even talked about it, in cabinet yesterday as well. My team, everyone, and the message I've been sending is we're seeing that we're definitely going to see a reduced COLA next year. So that means since we're aware of that, now we need to start kind of seeing where we can save this year. So that's the work we're going to start doing and seeing what we can save on immediately and kind of that way kind of help us
That's
in
smart.
our out years. So that's our goal. So I made sure to communicate that with everyone. So
Yes, ma'am.
So unrestricted and restricted combined. So this shows you oops, sorry, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm not used to having it in two different places. I'm used to just controlling one. Okay, so this is unrestricted and restricted combined. It shows you the combined budget, combined expenses, the beginning and combined ending balances. So this just kind of gives you an idea of total budget, total expenses, and total ending balance. The next slide will show a difference.
So I'm sorry, so we're actually expected we have more going out than we have coming in. 24, 25.
Yes.
And in 23, 24.
Yeah, and a big part of that is unrestricted side of the house. So I'll show you the next slide. Switch over. Okay. So this slide shows you 23, 24. It shows you our unrestricted budget and our restricted side of the house. So yes, the restricted side of the house, it is showing deficit spending. But our unrestricted side of the house, we're not in deficit spending for 23, 24. It's showing an ending balance here. This is roughly a little over almost 4.1 million. This would be reserves of about 16%. If we go into next year, putting that 420,000 on hold for 24, 25, we're at about 14% reserves. And then going into 25, 26, it would be at 15% reserves.
What's standard? Where do you like to be? Where should we?
3% is standard. So we're required based on our enrollment, we're required to have at least 3% reserves. 3% reserves doesn't cover one payroll because it's roughly about right under 700,000 for 3%. Yeah. So
we burn about what, $100,000 a day. Probably.
well, payroll comes out to about 1.6, 1.7
A month.
a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's restricted, unrestricted. Yeah, but our required reserves for the state is 3%. I kind of like to show how the expenditures look kind of cut up, so it might help if I show you the slide. So you'll see the lighter blue salaries. So this is normal. School budget should always have most of your expenditures in salaries. You'll see the books and supplies are contracted services and are transferred out to deferred maintenance. Now, contracted services, that would be any services that we have That includes even SPED services, anytime we have someone come in to do any type of work, it's considered a service. So that has kind of deferred maintenance and spec contracts and stuff like that as well.
So the salaries includes the benefits too?
Yes.
I'm surprised it's that low.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent range, 78.2%. Yes, it's salary benefits.
I've seen it 85%.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is good.
Yeah, 85 is pretty high because that only leaves you
No, I
like
know.
15%.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, only so many paper clips you can cut there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if we'd previously had like intervention aides or something, who were staff, but now we contract out, that would be in the orange category
Right
here, so.
Yes, and that's exactly what I needed to do since I had been working on first interim, I had seen a large increase of SPED contracts. I went through and I reviewed everything and said, okay, so we have X amount of positions that we can't fill, but we have X amount of contracts for X amount of people. So I kind of had to do a swap. And I did talk to Chris and tell her, if in the event we're able to hire someone in-house, which is always our goal, then we would reduce the contract and then we'll bring the FTE back up for those positions. It's kind of like a swap.
And contracted services includes legal?
Legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. And the legal costs have been looking pretty good.
Oh.
Yeah, this year. So. Next slide. So going forward, we need to continue declining, to monitor declining enrollment, staffing to enrollment needs, increasing ADA. And to do that, I know that our sites are amazing and they're already like having attendance incentives and so forth. So little things like that kind of really help with attendance. And it seems like it really has been based on, the way our attendance has been coming in. So that's awesome that everyone's coming together and recognizing that that's something we really need to boost. So kudos to all of our sites for doing that, principals and teachers especially. So that's awesome. And one thing too, I think is important in this day and age is to advertise and promote what programs we have. We want people, parents and so forth to see, they have, a gardening program. That's amazing. I want my son or daughter to be able to take part in that, to learn that. Oh, they do this awesome witch up in elementary, makers. So stuff like that. So I think that's super important because we want people to want to come. So that's one way to help increase enrollment. Any other questions? No.
Comment. I appreciate the visuals of your slides. This is not the type of information that I do in my day-to-day life, and so having it presented in a different way is really helpful. So I appreciate that. We're kind of used to looking at the highlighted, the highlighted yellow line, kind of looking in the bottom line of the budget there, but I see it right here. So I'm gonna pause and see if I have a question. I'm sure everyone else does.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
Okay.
No? All right, anything on the email? Okay. All right, this is an action item. Do I have a motion to approve the interim budget?
I'll make the motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
All right, 10C, nominating someone for the California School Board Association Delegate Assembly Representative.
So we mentioned the delegate assembly earlier tonight, and they do great work on behalf of all districts in California, and they work with CSBA. And the two current members in our sub-region 9A, Kim DeSerpa and Patricia Namey. Kim DeSerpa is from PV-USD and Patricia is from San Benito. Are both wanting to run again, are running again, just for your information. And so the board has many options. The board can choose to table the item and do nothing. The board could choose to do other nominations. The board could choose to nominate one or both of Kim and Patricia.
All right, open to the board.
Can I ask a question? So we had Phil was doing that, right?
No, yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, do we have if Phil wanted to do that, would we have the option of nominating Phil and then he runs and then what people vote on it?
Yes.
Who votes on it?
That is theoretically correct. That would be up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, but how would we then, we would vote? How did, I've never seen this
So
vote.
the
come up.
other districts have to vote too.
Right.
The nomination, so we're
Yeah.
like, who are we throwing out there for nomination, and then that person like has biographical information that other districts vote on.
And their boards voted, like just board members.
Right.
At meetings, yeah, so it'll come back in a few months, right?
Okay, interesting. Phil, do you have any desire to? No? Okay.
We got two great folks in there now. We've always, for years and years and years, wanted somebody from San Benito County, and so yay, we finally do. And there are growing enrollment in that county, isn't it? I believe, yeah.
Thank you for answering my
Have we ever
question.
had anyone from Pajaro?
You know, we didn't have, and for some reason, no, we did have for a few months. And then she decided not to run, and then she never went to a meeting. She won she got appointed, was on the DA, and then didn't run for election, so she was on and off again, and then I got appointed.
And that's someone other than Kim?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, what we had before was Santa Cruz City Schools, so you know, and us.
What do we think? Should we?
So is our option to vote for the two existing ones or defer or?
Well, we're not
All
voting.
of those options.
All of those options.
Yeah, we're not voting now.
No.
No, we're saying who we nominate.
You want to do it?
Just nominate.
Well, I'm a fan of Kim DeSerpa. I've known her a long time and served alongside with her on Santa Cruz County School Boards Association, and really admire her and her leadership on the PV-USD board. And so I asked her if she was interested in being nominated again, and she is. And I do not know the representative from San Benito County, but I trust Phil's judgment very strongly in this area. And I used to spend a lot of time working in San Benito County, and I appreciate the importance of having them have a seat at the table.
Included, yeah.
Absolutely. So my thought would be, I think it'd be great to nominate the two who are currently serving.
We can do that. We can nominate both.
Yeah.
There's two.
You can nominate all of us.
Great.
Let's throw our names in there. For the hell of it.
I nominate those two and Ted.
Yeah, you put her name in the hat for county supervisor.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Should we
Nominate her?
should we make a motion?
Oh, yeah, I'll make the motion to nominate Kim DeSerpa and Patricia Namey.
Okay. Great. Do I have a
second.
Second, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, all right, motion passes. We're
That seemed pretty easy.
nominating both of them. Great. Any correspondence? All right, any future agenda items? And you can always email that in
The resolution doesn't have to go on this, but
Yeah.
for November.
for next November.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. All right, meeting adjourned.
Wait, you need a motion in a second.
Oh,
Wait.
can I have a motion to end this meeting?
And then we all sit there, we're like.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
We have to stay here, so.
Oh, that's a grand jury indictment.
Who's the second?
I'll second.
Because we actually need, okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Ending this meeting, all right, adjourned.
Way to go.
You did an awesome job.
Thanks, everybody. Team effort.